time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm Zach McCain. I'm chair of the planning board. This is Don Davis to my left, Jared Mungin, and Dennis Crockwell. And over at the other table is Robert Collins. We're all members of the planning board. Standing up behind me here is Yanko. He's the town planner. And also at the table is Alex with KP Law. So if everyone will rise, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags over in this corner. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to do our regular meeting, planning board meeting agenda items, which there's not very many. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll close the regular monthly meeting and open the public hearing for BCC's permit. So first thing of business is to approve the regular month meeting minutes from October 25.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 2025.
I second it.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any old business, Yanko, that we need to address?
None.
Okay, and any new business?
None.
Okay, and public comment is not for the BCC permit, so if you have comments for that, we'll wait till we get to that to make those. If there's any other public comments, we'll take those at this time. All right, seeing none.
I got.
Oh, you got one? Nope. Okay, go ahead, Richard, sorry. Just state your name. Okay, thank you.
I hope to get to know many of you over the coming few months and look forward to joining your community. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard, for pointing that out. I didn't realize it, to be honest with you. Anything else? Okay, we have correspondence, some miscellaneous correspondence. You want to read them now, or you want to delay them until next meeting?
I'll read them now.
Okay.
Okay. So from the city of Pittsfield, we have a notice of decision for Eagle Allendale LLC, 245 to 239 Cheshire Road, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. It's a petition requesting to amend a special permit of the zoning ordinance for development at a pre-existing non-conforming mobile home park, including construction of 4,000 square foot accessory storage building, reconfiguration of mobile home sites, repair of a discrepancy in the previous special permit by including 22 mobile home site as shown in the previous plans. After public hearing on Wednesday, October 15th, the Board of Appeals voted to authorize the building inspector to issue the permit to Eagle Allendale LLC for the proposed work subject. City of Pittsfield Zoning Board of Appeals. Butter notification. Application has been made by Frobisher Bay Holdings LLC requesting a special permit under Article 23, Section 7.805 of the zoning ordinance to allow the operation of a recreational adult use retail marijuana business. The premises affected are located at 180 Elm Street, and it is in a B-G zoning district. A hearing for this petition will be at the Pittsfield City Hall on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025, at 7 p.m. Notice of decision to abutters. petition of Berkshire Hospitality Group, LLC. This is from the city of Pittsfield. Premises affected is 1 West Street. Above petition requesting a special permit pursuant to Article 23, Section 8.3, expansion of a non-conforming use to amend an existing special permit, which allowed for the expansion of the parking area between the principal facade of a building and the street in the downtown creative district. After the board hearing given Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, the Community Development Board voted to approve the special permit application of Berkshire Hospitality Group, LLC for the proposed work subject. City of Pittsfield Zoning Board of Appeals abutter notification. Oh. I apologize, that's all. Those were just extra copies. That is all the miscellaneous correspondence we have.
All right, next agenda item is anything's not anticipated 48 hours prior to this meeting. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the regular planning board monthly meeting.
Make a motion.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. At this time, we'll open the public hearing for permit petition 599 from Berkshire Concrete Corp. For 41 off High Street, 40 Bridle Road off High Street, off Pleasant Street, off Bruce and Renee Drive, lots 217-3, 106-55.1, 105-12, 105-16, and 101-25. Number of yards to be removed, 250,000. Area square feet, 10,693,980. Type of earth material to be removed, sand, gravel, topsoil, rock, and fill. Name and address of contractor, Berkshire Concrete Corp., 550 Cheshire Road, Pittsfield, Mass. Description of work to be performed, excavation, extraction, transportation of materials, and reclamation. Year-round operation. Hours of operation 6:45 a.m. to 5:15 p.m. So to start, I want to go over a couple of things before we ask Berkshire Concrete to come up and do a presentation. This is a very contentious issue, as everyone here is well aware, and we want to keep this as civil as possible. We're doing Robert's Rules for open meeting. The order of business we're going to do it in is BCC is going to make a presentation, and then we're going to have public comment. First, Yanko is going to read the letters that we've received to date, and then we're going to have people that are in favor of the petition to speak, and then we're going to have people that want to speak out against the permit speak. Discussions are to be kept at a minimum. You don't want to be talking while other people are speaking. You want to be polite and courteous. And also, we're going to put a time limit on everyone's speech. They can borrow time from somebody else, but we want to keep that to a minimum because we're going to try to end tonight by 10 o'clock. We only have this space available to us till 11, and we need time to clean up and get everything situated. We most likely, depending on the comments, will continue this public hearing till December 17th at our next appointed meeting. So that'll give us time to gather additional information if we need it. Any comments are to be addressed to the board chair or to Yanko, and if it's a question for him. But most of the comments should be addressed to me, not to BCC, not to other people in the audience. That's to keep it as clean as possible. You have 3 pieces of paper, maybe, yellow for questions regarding the application, green paper for a comment in favor, and red paper for a comment against. So with that out of the way, at this point, I would like to invite Berkshire Concrete's representative to come up and do the presentation for Berkshire Concrete Corp.
Put it up here, might be more appropriate height. Good evening. Ooh, pretty loud. Mr. Chair, Attorney Egan, Dennis Egan with Cohen, Kinney, Valcente, and Cook, representing Berkshire Concrete Corp. With me this evening is Alan Lebahan, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Unistress, an affiliated organization, affiliated company, very familiar with the operations at the Dalton plant, and available to also ask and answer any questions that the board has. As the board knows, this is not an application for a new special permit. This is consideration of renewal of a special permit that was granted in 1992. Since 1945, the predecessor to Berkshire Concrete Corp., General Sand and Gravel Corporation, operated a sand and gravel importation, removal, and processing plant through an agreement with the Warren family. As part of that exploration in 1945, Basilio Patrica dug test pits throughout the entirety of the approximately 200-acre parcel that was known as the Warren Farm. Zoning came into place in the town of Dalton in 1951, and so the operations at the Warren Farm were what's called the pre-existing non-conforming use, and through an agreement with the town and others, Berkshire Concrete's predecessor voluntarily submitted itself to the special permitting process. And that's why when you look at the conditions, the first conditions in the special permit are considered a 1992 conditions, and those conditions were put in place by agreement. So Berkshire Concrete, as I said, voluntarily submitted itself to zoning. It's important to note that that 1992 special permit applies to the entirety of the approximately 200-acre parcel. That the 1992 special permit was not for specific areas or tax parcels. It was for the entirety. When Massachusetts courts, namely the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court in the case of Seekonk versus Anthony, considered what it meant to use, what is the use, what is that pre-existing use, and what does it mean to use it in the context of a operation such as the one conducted by Berkshire Concrete. It looked to what was done. In the Anthony versus Seekonk case, the owner dug test pits, stripped land throughout a large portion of it, and the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court ruled that that was essentially appropriating it to the use. Furthermore, courts nationwide have ruled that in the context of graveling, mining, because of the nature of the use, it's understood that it would progress and not just take place in one particular area. In this case, the special permit application includes a parcel known as Assessor's Map 105, Lot 16. I'm sure all of us know that that parcel has been the subject of reclamation. When you operate a business, an operation over several decades, missteps are going to happen, and I don't think the measure as to whether a property owner is respectful of the town or its neighbors is whether or not missteps happen. I think the measure is how that's responded to, how the property owner responds. In March of 2025, the Dalton Board of Health issued a cease and desist order to Berkshire Concrete due to sand emanating from the site, allegedly blowing off the site. When that cease and desist order was received, Berkshire Concrete immediately contacted me and promptly put into place a reclamation plan, engaged Foresight Land Services to put that plan into place, and thus began a continuous and open and ongoing dialogue between Berkshire Concrete and the town of Dalton, as evidenced by several site visits on the site among representatives of town boards, town manager, town planner, and it was just an open and honest question and answer. What happened? How is Berkshire Concrete going to fix it? And when is it going to be fixed? As a result of those discussions and the plan that was drawn, the survey by Foresight Land Services, Berkshire Concrete Corp. mobilized significant number of contractors and equipment to put into place what that plan called for. And it's just, an example of, despite what some folks have said, this is not Berkshire Concrete thumbing its nose at the town or the neighbors. This is Berkshire Concrete acknowledging a mistake was made. Unfortunately, it was a manager that was new, left what's called an open face of the mine in such a condition that it was susceptible to blowing dust and sand. And Berkshire Concrete has never backed away from that. It's owned it since day one. It's invited the town representatives to the site on numerous occasions. We've been in contact with the Board of Health, the town planner, the town manager, the planning board. And we said, there was a mistake made. We own it. We're gonna fix it. But again, it's not. This is not a consideration of a new permit. It's by the nature of the permit. They run for 1 year, and the zoning enforcement officer, in this case Mr. Duval, the building commissioner, conducts an inspection and reports back to the board, and then this board decides whether or not to renew that special permit. Just make sure I haven't left anything out here. Yeah, and I guess that what I would just say is none of the operations were illegally done. There was a simple oversight, a mistake. I think all parties thought that parcel 10516 was permitted. It was in fact not permitted. And as sometimes want to happen, things were compounded by a mistake and then an inexperienced plant manager. And again, Berkshire Concrete owns it and put into place that reclamation plan, listened to the concerns of the town people and the boards, paved 250 feet of asphalt approximate to the entrance and exit, put tire scrubbers into place to make sure that as much excess sand and dirt would be removed from tires of trucks going in and out of the plant, and installed extra sprayers on the processing plant to keep dust down as much as possible. So, for folks to suggest that somehow Berkshire Concrete is thumbing its nose at neighbors or the town is just not accurate. People can disagree. There were real concerns raised in the winter of 2025. And Berkshire Concrete understands it. They're not backing away from it. We understand it. It was real. And we put a plan into action that addressed the issue. With that, I'll yield the floor, and if the board has any questions, we're happy to answer.
We're going to hold those questions till later in the meeting. Unless somebody has something specific at this point. So first, Lauco's going to read the correspondence we received. We received quite a bit. If you would rather read your own letter, you can do that, but unless somebody speaks up, Yanko's going to read them.
I'd like to read my own letter.
Okay.
James Marcel Raymond.
Did you send it to Yanko?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just like to clarify that that is the 3 minutes that you will be using as the speaking time if you're reading your letter.
You want to pull those out?
You take more time if necessary.
So I would read the letter for you, and then that doesn't take away from your 3 minutes, but if you choose to read your own letter, that it uses your 3 minutes for speaking.
Completely, I mean,
Unless you finish the letter, and then, yeah.
I'd like to read my letter.
We're going
We
to,
just- yeah.
we'll do those when it's, first he's going to read the letters, and then we're going to do people that want to speak in favor of the permit, and then those that want to speak against the permit, we're going to let them go all at once. So you could,
I just want to read the letter I sent to the planning board manager. Letter. I'd like to read it myself.
okay. All right, so you can pull his out and Lisa Pugh's out. Yeah. Well, we'll wait till the, unless you're, okay.
You want to read yours?
Yes. Yes, but not right now. Okay. You can just start reading them and find them as you go through.
Yeah, you can just, yeah. Go for it. No, I have it. I pulled it out.
Okay.
If he wants to read it. So Mr. Carcel, you would like to read your own. Who else would like to read their own letter? Mr. Griffin?
And Lisa Pugh.
And, no, Lisa just said the opposite. Okay, so let me just find Mr. Griffin's. Okay, here we go. Yes, it's the same one, okay. All right. Okay. All set.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and read them?
Yep, I'll start with, okay, I'll start reading correspondence. So, we are going to start with the boards. So a comment from the Conservation Commission, the town of Dalton. Berkshire Concrete comment for the special permit. The proposed project areas on the plans as submitted to the planning board are subject to protection under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Dalton Local Wetland Bylaw, and the Berkshire Mountain Scenic Bylaw. Any activity proposed or undertaken within these areas that will remove, fill, dredge, or alter these areas will require the filing of a notice of intent or any work that may affect the areas subject to protection, a request for determination of applicability. That is from the Conservation Commission, who also filed determination of applicability about a couple weeks ago. From the Town of Dalton Board of Health. Dear Yanko Tomasic and the Planning Board, This letter is being sent to you from the Dalton Board of Health for input into the Berkshire Concrete 2025 special permit. On March 12, 2025, the Dalton Board of Health issued an order to abate nuisance conditions originating on the property owned by BCC in the town of Dalton at Assessor's Map 105, Lot 16. Testimony from residential neighbors to the property revealed that on numerous occasions, dust and sand has covered the property during the wind events. The dust and sand coming from the property negatively impacts the public's right to clean air and otherwise adversely impacts the public's comfort and convenience. On April 10, 2025, the Board of Health issued an order to implement a dust mitigation plan. In response, BCC developed and implemented a dust mitigation plan, had a topographic survey prepared by Foresight Land Services. Berkshire Environmental Consultants Incorporated reviewed said dust mitigation plan submitted from BCC in response to Dalton's Board of Health order and abate nuisance conditions and subsequent order to implement the dust mitigation plan. Berkshire Environmental found that the dust mitigation plan did not sufficiently address the Board of Health order to implement a dust mitigation plan outlining both immediate and long-term actions to address the ongoing impacts. The Board of Health recommends that the dust and sand be prohibited from leaving BCC property, that BCC follows the Town of Dalton noise bylaws, that BCC follow Berkshire Environmental Consultants Incorporation recommendations that the special permit includes a condition that Berkshire Concrete Corporation develops a comprehensive dust mitigation plan. The plan should apply to the entire permitted areas of the site, all applicable parcels, and should be updated annually as part of the renewal process. Berkshire Environmental recommends the following for an effective dust mitigation plan for the BCC site. Updating the topographic survey to represent as-built conditions for the entire parcel, clearly identifying reclaimed and disturbed areas for the entire parcel, topography of reclaimed and disturbed areas, and an accurate representation of the number of trees and other vegetation planted. Develop a written plan that addresses the entire parcel of map 105, lot 16, and not just the portion where modifications have been complete, and includes the following. Identify activities and operations that generate dust, example disturbed areas, active excavation activities, vehicle traffic, etc. Specify appropriate control strategies for these activities in operation, example vegetation cover, water application, physical barriers, containment systems, etc. Identify operational procedures and frequency for the routine inspections of dust and watering schedules, maintenance services, tree replacement, etc. Identify protocols for managing vehicle and equipment traffic to minimize dust generation. Identify the reporting and tracking systems for inspections, maintenance requirements, and responding to complaints and issues. Define roles and responsibilities among team members to ensure proper implementation and ongoing maintenance of dust control measures. In discussions with the town manager, the head of the Clean Air Committee, and the Board of Health co-chair, it was recommended that a third party be hired by the town of Dalton to oversee the BCC's dust mitigation plan and air quality monitoring, which should be paid by BCC. This should be included in the special permit. Sincerely, Nancy Hopper, the Dalton Board of Health co-chair. Excuse me. This is from Michael and Bethany Hagmeyer at 190 Raymond Drive of Dalton. Dear Planning Board members, this letter is in regards to petition 599, Berkshire Concrete Corporation, an application for a special permit for earth removal at the following premises: 41 off High Street, Assessors Map 217-3, zoned R1, 40 Bridle Road, Assessors Map 106, Lot 5, 55.1, zoned R1, off High Street, Assessors Map 105, Lot 12, zoned R1, off Pleasant Street, Assessors Map 105, Lot 16, zoned R1, off Bruce and Renee Drive, Assessors Map 101, Lot 25, which is split zoned R1 and R2. As you are aware, R1 districts in Dalton are zoned for residential and agricultural purposes, and R2 is zoned specifically for residential purposes. As residents of 190 Raymond Drive, we strongly oppose a special permit to be granted in the R1 and R2 zones as listed in the application for a special permit. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, Alex, what I said here, could I make a recommendation that rather than Yanko continue reading these letters, which is based on this stack is going to take a lot of time, these are already part of the public record. So I would recommend that we just proceed to public comment at this point. it's okay with you, Mr. Chair. There's no need to read these letters to put them in the public record. They're already part of the record.
Most of the people in the audience haven't seen it.
All right.
And we don't have copies for everybody. So I don't know how they're in the public record at this point.
Well, as soon as they're submitted to the board, they become a public record.
How else can we get that information of what's in the letters to people?
I'm sure it could be uploaded. Could you load online, Yoko?
Theoretically, yes. Yeah, it could be uploaded somewhere, it could be emailed to people in a PDF package.
Yeah, I only say this, Mr. Chairman, because it would probably take him all night to read all this.
It's this big. So, I mean,
Yeah, we got quite a few in the last couple of days.
I'm happy to read them, it's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason they're having him read it is because they don't want to waste their time with their public comment to read their own letter. So him reading their letters is getting it out there, then they can do their public comment. I believe that's why we did that. But it's just me. So they can all be heard.
I think we should read them. We always have in the past.
If it is the board's pleasure, I will continue. Alex, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So, okay, where was I? All right, I'll just start as you are aware. As you are aware, R1 districts in Dalton are zoned for residential and agricultural purposes, and R2 is zoned specifically for residential purposes. As residents of 190 Raymond Drive, we strongly oppose a special permit to be granted in the R1 and R2 zones as listed in the application for a special permit. The noise pollution from the heavy equipment, dust pollution from the sand particles that will blow into neighboring properties, and the destruction of land located in these areas, which includes wetlands, are just 3 reasons as to why mining should never be allowed in residentially or agriculturally zoned districts. Berkshire Concrete has a track record that has proven to not be a good neighbor to their abutters in their previous special permit applications, most specifically as it relates to the area that was illegally excavated, parcel 10516, after last year's special permit. Recently, the Zoning Board of Appeals has voted in favor of petition 600 to have parcel 101-516 restored, which to date Berkshire Concrete has not completed. Again, not a good neighbor. This illegal earth mining of the land brought sand from parcel 10116 into my property as well as into my neighbor's property. We have had sand in every windowsill of our home, on our deck, in our pool, and on our front porch. As previously seen in photos and videos from neighbors, sand blanketed our winter yards and turned the snow a gross shade of brown. This made me sick to think of what my teenage children and their friends may be breathing in simply by playing basketball in our backyard. We love our home, and Berkshire Concrete Corporation's lack of the following permit conditions is ruining it. We do not see any reason why our town would grant a special permit to a company that is a complete disregard for permit conditions, a company that has illegally mined an area without a permit, a company that has failed to restore the land. As a community, we must say no. We strongly encourage the planning board to vote no as it relates to petition 599 and not grant a special permit for earth removal within any R1 or R2 zones within the community to anyone. Sincerely, Michael and Bethany Hagmeyer of 190 Raymond Drive. Keith French from 72 Raymond Drive. I had a long career, to Yonko Tomasic and the planning board members. I had a long career as a technical and business professional at a prominent local company. I was fortunate to be involved in the development of proposals for government contracts worth many billions of dollars, as well as the evaluation of proposals for potential subcontractors. Our team was also accountable for the technical and business performance of ourselves and subcontractors. I was proud to be a part of those efforts that brought thousands of jobs to Berkshire County, grew a successful business, and helped protect our country and save lives. The proposed government contracts is a complex effort with many parts, but there are 2 sections that seem relevant in the evaluation of BCC's special permit application. Questions below are just a few that guided the development of our proposal and assessment of subcontracts for those key parts of the proposals. Offer them as guidance for your decision-making process. Using past performance, assessing how BCC has performed under similar work in the past and how they have addressed issues that arose when operating under prior special permits. Number 1, has BCC been self-compliant with all requirements of the past special permit? 2, did BCC self-report past compliance issues? 3, did BCC immediately take action to correct past compliance issues? 4, did BCC react quickly to issues raised by impacted parties? Technical approach, assess how BCC proposes to execute the work permitted in the special permit in a compliant manner, the systems that are in place to address risks and ensure compliance, and the actions need to be taken when issues arise. Number 1, based on past performance, are you convinced that the company will be able to comply with all requirements in the future? Number 2, does the technical plan for future work convince you and independent experts that the work has been completed compliantly? 3, has BCC put in place a quality assurance program to monitor compliance? 4, should a violation occur, does the company have a plan to address issues? Have they committed to voluntarily stop work until issues have been corrected? 5, has BCC volunteered to share quality assurance reports with the town? 6, does a special permit incentivize the company to comply and have penalties for non-compliance? Is it cheaper for the company to comply or not? Is it worth, number 7, is it worth the quality of life impacts, dust, noise, property values to the citizens? In other words, would you approve of the special permit if it was your quality of life on the line? Negative answers to any questions are red flags that special permit should be rejected. BCC's past performance has demonstrated a lack of commitment to abiding by the terms of special permits. They have only acted to comply when forced. Their current application does not make a compelling case that the town should put at risk the health of Dalton residents by shrinking the buffer between mining and housing. The application does nothing to guarantee compliance. Based on my experience of hundreds of similar business decisions, denying this permit is straightforward. As a board, you are responsible for assessing BCC's application. To approve, you must not trust, but be convinced that they can and will perform the work compliantly and without impacting the town. You must be willing to ignore poor past performance and ignore the most likely outcome of BCC's future effort will both violate the past permit terms and impact Dalton citizens. If you're not convinced, you must deny the application. Ultimately, you are accountable for your decision. Sincerely, Keith French, 72 Raymond Drive. This is from John Dominguez at 162 Tower Road. My name is John Dominguez, and I have lived at 162 Tower Road at the intersection with Sunnyside Avenue since 1995. Sunnyside runs west to east, and the prevailing wind is from west to the east. I often wondered why I'd always had to clean the dust off a glass tabletop in my screened-in gazebo when I wanted to sit outside. This year, I've become aware that the source of this nuisance dust is from the Berkshire County Concrete Corporation sand mining operations. I retired from General Dynamics in 2004 with a clean health exam. In 2010, I was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, a scarring of the lungs with an unknown source, usually genetic or environmental. Testing ruled out genetic origins. The general consensus of the cause of my lung scarring was environmental. The scarring from pulmonary fibrosis causes the lungs to harden and impede the exchange of carbon dioxide with oxygen. On Valentine's Day 2010, I received the gift of life in the form of a single lung transplant at the Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston due to my severely compromised lungs. I've managed to lead a nearly normal life with my one lung. In retrospect, I find myself wondering if the sand mining operations are the root of my scarred lungs. This past summer, after a mammogram, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer and had a lumpectomy to remove the tumor. She underwent a series of 20 radiation treatments and it seems to be recovering very well. On October 29th, I was diagnosed with liposarcoma, a cancer of the fatty tissue in my lower abdomen. I was sent to Dana-Farber for treatment and diagnosis. The initial diagnosis was confirmed, but treatment is yet to be determined. Our most recent health problems and cancers are attributable to sand mining. I'm now convinced that they are the source of my medical issues. This course leads me to wonder if our neighborhood is sitting on a powder keg of health problems. Do we really need to be breathing in possible carcinogens in the form of silica into our lungs? The most susceptible are the young and the elderly, but everyone can be impacted. Should the neighborhood be tasked with doing a survey of the residents in the neighborhood to see if there is a higher than normal incidence of respiratory issues and cancers in our neighborhood? Are we sitting on a brownfield site, which is a property where presence of potential hazardous substances, pollutants, or contaminants makes redevelopment challenging, risky, and costly? I vote no to approving a permit for the continued sand mining in our neighborhood by Berkshire County Concrete Corporation, Patrica Industries, or any other entity. Again, John Dominguez from 162 Tower Road. Okay. From Lori Martinelli, 488 East Housatonic Street. Dalton. Dear Town Planner, this letter addresses the special permit application filed by Berkshire Concrete on September 17th, 2025. I grew up in Dalton and moved back in 2024 when I retired. I've closely followed this issue over the past year and have heard nothing but concerns and complaints from the families who live near the mining operation. The permit will significantly expand Berkshire Concrete's gravel mining operation in Dalton, affecting new parcels of land and resulting in the removal of 250,000 yards of sand, gravel, topsoil, rock, and fill. According to the permit, 218 new acres of land will be affected. Half of this acreage may be mature forest. Expanding to this new area will require construction of an access road that will be in close proximity to the homes on Florence Street. I oppose granting the special permit for the following reasons. Families on Florence Street, Deming Street Extension, Raymond Drive, and off Prospect Street have experienced a public health burden for several years. Particulate matter from the dust can cause respiratory and cardiovascular problems such as coughing, irritation of the throat, eyes, nose, and decreased lung function. Children and elderly are most at risk, along with people with pre-existing conditions such as asthma, COPD, or heart disease. Dalton residents' use and enjoyment of their homes is adversely affected because people cannot enjoy their yards, gardens, or porches due to ground and dust and sand. This area is zoned for residential and agricultural use, yet Berkshire Concrete proposes the new extraction and excavation operation to continue for 15 to 20 years. This use is incompatible with zoning. Many dozens of trucks filled with sand, gravel, topsoil, rock, and fill travel daily on residential streets near the mining operation. Park Street is the major street that trucks and other heavy equipment use to pick up and transport the extracted substances off-site. Craneville Elementary School is located on Park Avenue, where dozens of students play outside during recess. Exposure to particulate matter mentioned above is an issue for these children and neighborhoods as well, not to mention the new access road that will be built adjacent to Florence Street. Berkshire Concrete has a long history of not being a good neighbor to Dalton. They have not responded adequately to a cease and desist order issued in February 2025, and their business practices violate permits and town bylaws. For these reasons, I request that the Dalton Planning Board deny this permit. In the alternative, if the Dalton Planning Board is inclined to grant this permit, I urge that the comprehensive site reclamation plan along with the dust mitigation plan be included as part of the permit. These plans shall be developed by an independent engineering firm and paid for by Berkshire Concrete. Additionally, the permit must incorporate a comprehensive monitoring program that includes video, audio, air, soil, and other atmospheric measurements, also to be funded by Berkshire Concrete. Dalton Town Government must conduct effective and continuous enforcement of all permits issued by and bylaw compliance, and institute a protocol for the public to submit complaints. I urge the Dalton Conservation Commission to play a more active role in this operation to ensure that all earth mining or earth moving activities are in compliance with the Wetlands Protection Act and other environmental laws and regulations. Dalton's tax assessor should review the current taxes paid by Berkshire Concrete to determine if their property with mineralites should be valued at a much higher rate. Berkshire Concrete has been operating in Dalton for many years now. We know how they do business and that they do not value public health above profits. Dalton Town Government must use all its resources, boards, and departments to ensure that our neighbors who live adjacent to the Berkshire Concrete gravel mining operation enjoy the same quality of life as other Dalton residents. Thank you for consideration. Lori Martinelli, 488 East Housatonic Street. Thank you. From Peter and Louisa Horth, 161 Raymond Drive, Dalton. Dear Sir, it is with great concern that we write this letter to the Dalton Planning Board regarding the permit application for a mining operation in the heart of the Dalton community. The local residents have been negatively impacted with the mining operation for many years, even decades. Our tight-knit community has raised our children, held neighborhood block parties, supported our neighbors during difficult times, and contributed to the success of the town. It is unreasonable to issue a permit for a mining operation that encroaches on our rights to have a clean, quiet environment. Please consider the residents of our community in your decision-making. Respectfully, Peter and Louisa Horth, 161 Raymond Drive. From Stephanie DeTample, 241 Pleasant Street, Dalton. Dear Chairman McCain and board members, I'm writing to you to express my concern regarding the permit application presented by Mr. Vertriga and Berkshire Concrete. There are many reasons this permit should not be granted, as you will hear from many of my Dalton neighbors. In my opinion, the most important reason to decline the request made by Mr. Patrica and Berkshire Concrete is their blatant disregard for the community and town procedures. Since January, residents have been asking the town for relief from the dust issue caused by the work being done in the parcels abutting our neighborhood, areas around Florence Street, off Prospect Street, Deming Street, Extension, and Raymond Drive. My neighbors and I have been heavily affected by our excessive and possibly toxic dust blowing around our homes and into our homes. Since then, they ignored the complaint as much as possible. In order to address the concerns, they try to manipulate the system and do as little as possible to meet the directive by first saying there was a clerical issue on their last permit application, and then changing their story to say that they did not need to address the issue since there was no permit. In other words, they do not need to adhere to zoning expectations if they do not have a permit in the first place. Sadly, this is not the first time they've ignored the concerns of the community or a town protocol. They have a history of doing so over the past couple of decades. How many chances do we give Mr. Patrica and Berkshire Concrete to do right for Dalton and the abutting neighborhoods? Residents need to be able to trust that rules are being enforced. Denying their permit sends a message that there are consequences for blatant disregard for community and the town of Dalton's rules. Please do the right thing, deny the permit request, and show Mr. Patrica and Berkshire Concrete that in order to continue their business relationship with the town of Dalton, the town rules apply to them too. Support the residents. Thank you for your time. Stephanie DeTampa, 241 Pleasant Street. So this is from Deirdre Tozer Hayes on Sunnyside Drive. I do not have an exact address. Again, Deirdre Tozer Hayes. I live on Sunnyside Drive in Dalton, Massachusetts with my family. We have lived there for more than 8 years. I am in agreement that a permit should not be issued to Patrica and Berkshire Concrete for their planned expansion, especially as my house is so close to strip mining and the additional dust, ongoing violations, and the fact that the area is zoned for residential/agriculture rural use. I also have concerns over the property value. I also have concerns over property value. My biggest concern is the health of my family, who also already suffer from breathing issues. Regards, Deirdre Tozer Hayes. From David and Kathy Borowski, 100 Raymond Drive. To the Dalton Planning Board, I request that the Planning Board disapprove petition number 599, special permit for earth removal from Berkshire Concrete Corporation, BCC. I'm an abutter to this excavation. I do not believe that this excavation will be carried out by BCC in a safe, legal, or professional manner. I'm also concerned about the various Dalton Town boards being able to monitor and control BCC's operations. BCC's excavation of Lot 105-16 in 2023 to 2025 was not properly mitigated during excavation, resulting in dangerous sand dust exposure for multiple residents, and was not properly remediated after BCC was directed by the town to stop operations. Petition 599 greatly expands the scope of BCC's excavation and operations beyond what was done in Lot 105-16. They intend to remove 250 yards of material over, I believe, 3 years, 2026 to 2028. This permit includes the area of excavation. This permit indicates that the area of excavation will be almost 10.7 million square feet. The average football field, including end zones, is about 64,800 square feet. That means 164 football fields could fit into the proposed excavation site. Additionally, to move 250,000 cubic yards of sand, we'll need approximately 16,667 to 25,000 dump truck loads, assuming that a standard dump truck hauls 10 to 15 cubic yards per trip. If only using 10-yard trucks, that's 32 truckloads a day. Or a 10-hour workday, 6:45 to 5:15 p.m., that's over 3 trucks an hour, or a dump truck every 20 minutes. These trucks will be traveling west of Florence Street, Raymond Drive, and Bruce Drive in parcels 105-16 and 101-25, and then going down Park Avenue to get to Pittsfield. If BCC were to implement proper mitigation efforts, one of the primary ways to reduce dust is spraying the exposed areas with truckloads with water. Given the number of trucks and square footage, how much water will be required and where will the water come from? I believe with droughts becoming more common in this area, full mitigation of the excavation is unsustainable. Various Dalton Town boards have improved their oversight and control over BCC's operations over the past year, and wind monitors have been installed. However, I'm not aware that the town has an agreement on how they will assess and collect fines or hold BCC accountable for town bylaws related to the presence of excessive sand particles in the air, lack of mitigation during operations, noise complaints, and traffic violations. Approval of Petition 599 will significantly increase past issues and introduce new ones, health issues from the wind-blown sand, truck traffic on our roads, noise from daily excavations, unsustainable water usage, and the need to quickly address bylaw violations. Therefore, the planning board should deny this application. Sincerely, David Borowski, 100 Raymond Drive. From Dale and Lynn Duquette, 145 Raymond Drive. Dale and Lynn Duquette, 145 Raymond Drive. Dear Mr. Tomasic, my wife and I have lived in Dalton our entire lives and have been at our current residence at 145 Raymond Drive since 1990. I'm writing today to formally oppose the town of Dalton issuing a permit to Berkshire County Concrete / Patrica Industries to allow continued strip mining of sand in the area off Pleasant Street, Florence Street, Raymond Drive, and Bruce Drive. Following a typical winter, in addition to sand and salt in our front yard, we often experience a little bit of sand on our windowsills during winter winds that blow through the gravel bed directly into the neighborhood. However, following the winter of 2024-2025, we noticed an alarming amount of sand and silt, unlike anything we've experienced before throughout our neighborhood, which was brown, and when it melted, there was a film of silt throughout everyone's yard, front and back. For the first time ever, we even had a layer of silt on our back deck and our in-ground pool. In the 35 years on Raymond Drive, we have never experienced silt and sand to this degree, and that causes us great distress about the total impact of Berkshire County Concrete's excavation activity. Two things in particular are of most concern. We both expect to retire at some point and have questions whether the air and our future grandkids will be breathing is safe. Like other residents, we consider our home to be an investment and that should appreciate over time. That said, some estimates indicate that our home values could be negatively impacted by 20 to 30%, which equates to $100,000 to $150,000 per property, which would be disastrous for the town. Additionally, with annual tax revenues from Berkshire County Concrete at less than $45,000 per year, we have to ask that that amount of money is even worth considering tax revenue for my 20 closest neighbors on Raymond Drive are at least 3 to 4 times that amount. For those reasons, the town must side with the residents and deny permitting to ensure our overall health and safety and protect our property values. Thank you for your time and consideration. Dale and Lynn Duquette, 145 Raymond Drive. George Waldheim and Deborah Personius of 78 Renee Drive. George Waldheim and Deborah Personius, 78 Renee Drive. My wife and I, living on Renee Drive, submit the following comments in regard to the pending permit and application for Patrica to continue and expanding their existing mining operations in this area. Having had previous encounters with them both personally and professionally, it has been my experience that they should fail to pay close attention. They will not hesitate to disregard conditions that were placed on their operations and have little to no concern for the impacts that it bears on their abutters. This has been on the ongoing situation here in Dalton, as we know. To be clear, I feel that Patrica has the right to operate their business in an orderly, safe, and conscientious way, while taking more seriously the concerns of all of us have with regard to our health and welfare. In our opinion, Dalton boards and officers have the obligation to do their best job to establish illegal and powerful methods of both mitigation, control, and penalties before a permit is blindly put into place. It would be naive to think this committee would behave responsibility, and if the town of Dalton is appointed, and its appointed representatives do not forcefully and with regularity hold them accountable. It is in our hope that this issue can finally be properly addressed and put to rest to the satisfaction and the best interest of all parties. With regards, George Waldheim and Deborah Personius, 78 Renee Drive. This is from Matthew Reichers, 46 Bruce Drive. Matthew Reichers, 46 Bruce Drive. Mr. Tomasic, my name is Matthew Reichers, and I'm writing to submit comments for the public hearing on November 19th, 2025. My residence is 46 Bruce Drive. My comments as a Dalton resident are as follows. Number one, I believe that the planned expansion of the operations at Berkshire Concrete represents a complex set of potential hazards, including resident health, public nuisance, and impacts to surrounding communities. Before any further permits are issued, these hazards need to be clearly identified with likely widespread or highly impactful consequences, preferably by an unbiased entity. Number two, I believe that any proposed mitigations to reduce the likelihood of these hazards, the proposed mitigations need to be validated as making any significant consequences unlikely. Remediation after the fact is not acceptable. Prevention is more economical and effective for all parties involved. 3, monetary incentives should be defined as part of the permitting to support future operations and also include negative incentives such as revocation for failure to meet defined mitigations. Thank you. Matthew Reichers, 46 Bruce Drive. From Sally Fulton, 121 Central Avenue. Sally Fulton, 121 Central Avenue. Good morning. As a citizen of Dalton, I'm very concerned with this proposed expansion and urge you to make sure it doesn't happen. Strip mining potentially toxic materials in what is zoned as a residential/agricultural zone is not in the best interest of Dalton and our citizens. Please put a stop to what is already affecting the quality of life for the citizens of Dalton. Sincerely, Sally Fulton, 121 Central Avenue, Dalton, Massachusetts. David and Joanne Warren, 59 Tower Road. I'm writing in strong opposition to the Berkshire Concrete special permit application. As residents of Tower Road, we have been directly affected by the significant increase in dust generated by Berkshire Concrete's operations, specifically from activity conducted in the area where they were not permitted to excavate. We recently built a beautiful screened-in porch to enjoy our backyard, yet we can no longer use it without wiping down all the tables and chairs due to excessive dust on every surface. The level of dust intrusion not only diminishes our quality of life, but also poses potential health risks to us and our grandchildren. It is clear that Berkshire Concrete has operated in violation of both their existing permit and our local bylaws. Their actions demonstrate concerning disregard for complying with established permit conditions and community protections. For these reasons, we adamantly urge the Planning Board to deny Berkshire County Concrete special permit request. Respectfully submitted, David and Joanne Warren, 59 Tower Road, Dalton, Massachusetts. From Randy and Maria Thomas, 181 Raymond Drive. Town of Dalton. We are writing to express our strong opposition to the Town of Dalton issuing a new permit to Berkshire Concrete for their sand mining operation, specifically on lot 10516 and the proposed areas behind Pleasant Street, Raymond Drive, and Bruce Drive, or close to any residential areas. We've been raising our family on Raymond Drive and were in love with Dalton and our neighborhood when we moved in. When we bought our house, we noticed a thick brown film on the windows on the back sides of our house that would not fully come off even with the use of chemicals and hours of scrubbing. We had no idea at that time it was from blowing sand, and it still makes it difficult to see out some of our windows. Over these past 2 years, we have noticed sand in our pool and our rear deck and furniture, which needs to be brushed off just to sit down. We are concerned for the health of our family as we spend much time in our yard and may be breathing harmful silica from the sand that is mined and blowing into our yard from Berkshire Concrete's operations. Our concern is that even though our house is shielded from natural hills and mature trees of 30 to 40 feet tall, we are still having sand blowing into our yards. Mitigation steps such as a fence and planting sapling trees are not going to protect the neighborhood from blowing sand if the current mature forest is not even enough. We're not against businesses nor the right to make a living, but when a business like Berkshire Concrete operates without regard for their neighbors, disregards local authorities, laws, bylaws, then we object. When researching the history of the issue, we found decades of articles in the Berkshire Eagle dating back to the 1980s, memorializing the legacy of issuing complaints from residents and Berkshire Concrete's disregard for the rules. We were shocked to find this was far from a new issue. We're not asking that Berkshire Concrete be shut down, but we are asking you, our elected town officials who need to represent the will of the people and rule of law, to deny any further permits for Berkshire Concrete to continue to operate in close proximity to our neighborhoods. As vested members of this community and taxpayers, we deserve to be able to live here in good health on our own property, and no one or business has the right to pollute our air. Respectfully, Randy and Maria Thomas, 180 Raymond Drive. From Eli and Melissa Hassoun, 170 Raymond Drive. To whom it may concern, at the town of Dalton, we are writing this as a very concerned homeowner in Dalton. We directly abut the property of 10516 owned by Berkshire Concrete. It came to our attention in January that people were having sand issues at their homes near our neighborhood. We're not exactly sure when, but someone was on our property marking the tree line that abuts our property with Berkshire Concrete. I want to say it was last spring. I, Melissa, asked the person what was going on. He said he had no information. We never received anything from the town of Dalton letting us know of any new plans for this property. Getting back to the issue, we are related to one of the very affected homeowners. It is worse than we could have imagined. What we have seen in that neighborhood makes us very concerned about how this will affect our home and health in the future if Berkshire Concrete is allowed to continue working. We have lived in our home for 16 years. As the snow has melted this year on our deck and our pool cover, we see a lot of very fine sand. This has never been the case. We barely ever had to sweep our deck in all the previous years we have lived in this home. We are bringing this to the attention to the town of Dalton because they may not have been aware of how far back this sand travels. They have not done any work in our direct backyard yet, and it is our understanding that the town of Dalton stopped the work that is going on now. This property 105-16 that abuts us and many other families and homes should not be worked on. Now that Berkshire Concrete has started to come closer to homes with or without a proper permit, everyone has become aware of the impact they've had on families' homes and potential health risks that exist in the sand. Respectfully, Eli and Melissa Hassoun of 170 Raymond Drive. From Michelle and Stephen Morantz, 163 Red Barn Road, Dalton, Massachusetts. Dear Mr. Tomasic, we write to oppose the approval of any permitting to Berkshire County Concrete Company, a subsidiary of Patrica Industries, to continue their sand mining operation on Dalton lots that have been the site of current operations. We also oppose the permitting of any future parcels of Dalton land for that purpose. Although there are many reasons for opposition, such as economic threats to homeowners' property values, destruction of the local roads, and the profound degradation of the land itself resulting from the sand mining, our letter will focus on water and air quality concerns that arise from the sand mining and constitute established health threats for Dalton residents. According to the report by the Boston Action Research Project of the Civil Society Institute, sand mining operations rely on withdrawal of significant gallons of water from aquifers and streams, in addition to chemicals such as polyacrylamide are added to the water in the process to the sand in order to clump particles and remove impurities. Because polyacrylamide contains traces of acrylonitrile, contaminated ground and surface water can result, and runoff from sand piles awaiting transport can further pollute nearby water sources. These are significant issues that might be of interest to the town's select board, stormwater committee, planning board, and board of health. Equally disturbing is the possibility of sand mining runoff and water source disturbance that could create threats to the residents' safety. We all remember that runoff and water disturbance have created quicksand around the sand mining area that trapped the Dalton youth last summer and required the life-saving intervention of Dalton police officers. Harmful air quality concerns attached to sand mining also raise alarming concerns. Again, the Boston Action Research and Publication cites the fact that sand mining produces large quantities of airborne dust, including PM 2.5 particles and crystalline silica. These fine particulates are less than 2.5 microns in diameter, 30 times smaller than the diameter of a human hair, and can bypass the body's natural defenses, lodging deep within the lungs and even entering the bloodstream. Crystalline silica, a primary ingredient in sand, becomes hazardous when crushed during mining operations. When inhaled, crystalline silica particles embed deep within the lungs, causing silicosis, chronic and often fatal lung disease. Long-term exposure to crystalline silica is also linked with lung cancer, asthma, autoimmune diseases, as well as chronic kidney disease and hypertension. Particularly vulnerable populations include the young, elderly, children, and those with pre-existing conditions. Surely town officials know that the neighborhood adjacent to the sand mine contains 300 houses that are homes to families with children and elderly who expose themselves to harm when walking or riding bikes outside. A September 9, 2025 article in the Washington Post raised an additional health issue, noting that air pollution, specifically nitrogen dioxide and fine particulate matter, Not only increases risk of heart disease, respiratory diseases, and strokes, it also has yet another damaging impact to our vision. We'll end our appeal by making a lawsuit in eastern Massachusetts filed against AD Makepeace, a sand mining company that was upheld in September 19, 2025 by the Massachusetts Appeals Court. The case number is number 24P666. That unanimously ruled in favor of a grassroots group lawsuit to protect the environment from a devastating impacts of sand mining. A quote from the appeals court provides the basis for the decision. Quoting, "Land, earth is a critical natural resource, and Carver, the town, regulates earth removal activity by bylaw to protect the use of that natural resource. There can be little doubt that the systematic stripping of earth and topsoil, not to mention tree removal, leading to increased exposure to erosion, constitutes damage to soil resources," end quote. Amplifying that decision is the fact that the sand mining's destruction of the earth and topsoil also threatens the health of all Dalton residents by creating carcinogenic factors in our water and our air. As a result, we urge town officials to prioritize our residents' health and safety and deny Berkshire County Concrete's cooperation and any additional permitting. Sincerely, Michelle and Stephen Morantz, 163 Red Barn Road. From Diane Droshine, 139 Sunnyside Drive. Diane Droshine. Dear members of the Planning Board, I'm writing as the owner of 139 Sunnyside Drive, a property that directly abuts the land where Berkshire Sand and Gravel is proposing excavation on Lot 101-25. I wish to respectfully express my concern regarding the potential impact of this project on my property. My lot includes a hill that borders the construction site. Excavation in close proximity to this slope raises several risks, including erosion, destabilization of the hill, drainage issues, and possibly long-term damage to my property. In addition, these impacts could significantly reduce the value of my home. I respectfully request that the board require the applicant to provide engineering studies and protective measures to ensure that abutting properties are not negatively affected by the excavation. I also ask that proper safeguards be implemented to prevent erosion, runoff, or destabilization of existing slopes. Please keep me informed of any hearings, site reviews, or opportunities for public input regarding this application, as I wish to remain actively involved. Thank you for your time and consideration of my concerns. Diane Droshine, 139 Sunnyside Drive, Dalton, Massachusetts. Final letter to be read myself, and then we have two more from the audience. Just a moment. Lisa, do you still have your letter? I apologize, I don't. That's all right, I didn't. Yes, please. I just don't have a copy of it. I don't know why, but it's not in here. Okay, thank you. Is it all right if I read this letter? Okay, thank you. All right. So we'll do hers first, and then we'll do Mr. Hall's. All right, from David and Lisa Pugh, 140 Raymond Drive. Dear Mr. Tomasic, Mr. McCain, and members of the Planning Board, at the public hearing, you will hear many pleas to deny Berkshire County Concrete their permit, some filled with anger and frustration. These strong feelings come from 10 months of going before various town boards, being persistent in finding a resolution to the sand and dust issue. During these months, we have unearthed decades of disputes with Mr. Patrica and Berkshire Concrete. We have learned that the issues we are facing today did not start last winter when the source of excessive sand and dust in our yards was discovered. Instead, we are in another chapter of a very long history of discontent. If Berkshire County Concrete / Patrica Industries had truly been a good corporate citizen, we would not have found this long paper trail supporting the decades of complaints. Mr. Patrica has claimed that the town leaders he is not only bound by the dictates of a court case in the early 1990s and therefore does not need to follow any other conditions. We have never even seen the details of this case, so until it is produced in the eyes of the law, it still does not exist. This claim makes it clear that Mr. Patrica signed off on all subsequent permits in bad faith, as there was never any intent to follow those conditions. To quote an anonymous source, "We knew what we were doing. I would think to myself, would I want to live near here? No. But we did it anyway because we used to own this town." Actions speak louder than words, and in the actions of Berkshire Concrete and Mr. Patrica have shown that there is no intent to comply with the directives of this town. Recent history has proven this, and he has shown a complete disregard for the rules of our town. The mitigation plan has been found to be woefully lacking, and the new permit application was incomplete. When excavating under an invalid permit without notification to abutters, an area much greater than 5 acres was cleared. Material was processed on that site, even though it was not marked on the plan. Soil was disturbed, removed trees right up to the boundary line, ignoring the 150-foot requirement. And they also did not prevent the dust from leaving their property as required by the permit. They continue to ignore multiple orders to fully mitigate Lot 105-16. During this time, residents have had to spend their own money to clean up the mess that has been created on their properties. Why do we allow a company to come into our town, take our resources, and treat us with such disrespect? How could a company even be considered given these actions? Do you truly believe that any new set of conditions, no matter how thorough and well-intentioned, will have any impact on their behavior? What evidence do you have to support this? Is it approximately $42,000 in revenue collected by the town of Dalton last year really worth it? Studies have shown that the potential for up to 36% decline in property values near the strip mining operation. This will translate to a decrease in town revenue through our property taxes that would far outweigh the revenue received from Berkshire Concrete. The permit application requests a substantial expansion of operations to the strip mine directly behind a densely populated neighborhood. We will lose acres of natural habitat and trees for our carbon sequestration. The dust and noise will negatively impact the residents' health and enjoyment of our homes and the character of our neighborhood, contrary to our town bylaws. This request to deny the new permit for excavation is not arbitrary or capricious. Our health, our right to enjoy the properties, and our financial interests outweigh any benefit to hosting a strip mining operation. These operations simply cannot happen adjacent to a neighborhood. These parcels under consideration are zoned residential and agriculture, and special permits for this type of work should not be allowed. Processing on 10512 could possibly continue with strict oversight and penalty structures, but because of the history of their noncompliance, we are wary. Through the years, there's been little to no action by Mr. Patrica and Berkshire Concrete to show they are a good neighbor, and far too many actions in court cases to prove otherwise. Please take a few moments to review the supporting materials enclosed. The Dalton Clean Air Coalition is a large and strong group of residents who have lost their patience with a company that seeks to force its will on the community. It is time to close this chapter so we do not have to see history continue to repeat itself. Let's remember that most often the past is a prologue. We ask that you end this generational disregard for the citizens of Dalton without delay. We are grateful for all of your effort, time, and attention to this complex issue. Sincerely, David and Lisa Pugh of 140 Raymond Drive. And a little PS, it says, please see pertinent information. We've also attached a packet that they sent to the town in March to the Planning Board, Select Board, and the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Board of Health, with historical articles and details regarding complaints against Berkshire Concrete. This letter. This is from Richard Hall, 164 Greenridge Drive, Dalton. Richard, is it all right if I read the summary? Thank you. You got it. So, the summary of questions and comments for Berkshire County Concrete Special Permit Application. This is from, again, Mr. Richard Hall, 164 Greenridge Drive. The document presents a comprehensive list of questions, comments, and concerns to be addressed at the public meeting regarding a Berkshire County Concrete Corporation's new special permit application, with reference to previous permits and operational changes. I'm going to go through the bullet points here. Permit renewal and gate security, request clarification on changes to gate locks, communication with town officials, and gate access/security incidents. Submission issues, notes, late submission of required and restoration plans, and request better delineation and marking of areas to be restored. Missing reports and plan details, seeking confirmation on the submission of required reclamation, removal, and processing reports, and asking for clear color-coded delineation and updated plans. Processing and equipment location, questions about the placement and processing of equipment outside designated areas as seen in satellite imagery. equipment washing and water use, requests for details on water use, notification to the planning board regarding wash stations, and reasons for discontinuation. Operational changes, asks for rationale behind lowering the site speed limit and clarification of requirements for delineating the removal areas. Missing features on plans, inquiries about absent solar field and berm features and requests and their inclusion and explanation for emissions. New permit application issues, pointing out missing location, lot numbers, map plan references, substantial increases in extraction areas and volumes, questioning whether this is a new permit or a renewal. Surveyor signatures, requesting that required for professional surveyor signatures and stamps on all operational plans. Materials and water usage, seeking information on additional materials to be processed, water usage projections for increased capacity, and plans for fugitive dust suppression. Berm fence and dust control, noting inconsistencies between plans and on-site realities regarding berms, fences, and plantings intended for dust, noise, and noise mitigation, and asking for status updates and timelines. Wetland and regulatory concerns, requesting confirmation of regulatory compliance related to wetland areas, notice of intent filings, and pre-permit clearing activities. Access routes, suggest alternative routes for gravel extraction to minimize environmental and neighborhood impact. Bond discrepancies, identifying inconsistencies in bonding documents and suggesting that updating bonding values to reflect expanding operations. Public hearing procedures, about the rules for yielding time to public meeting or allow for extended comments. The comments include with request acknowledgement and inclusion in the public record, emphasizing transparency and thorough review of BCC's permit and associated plans. Sincerely, Richard Hall, 164 Green Ridge Drive. And to clarify, Mr. Griffin, Mr. Carcel, you'll be reading your own letters? Yes, sir. All right. From James and Laurel Carcel, 117 Raymond Drive. To whom it may concern, my family and I have lived at the address above since August 1992. For nearly 36 years as town residents, we've continuously dealt with the nuisance of sand leaving Berkshire County Corporation property, as well as the excessive noise created by their operations. Let me be clear, we know exactly where the sand in question originates. Over the decades we have lived here, an annual washing of our home and outbuildings has become a necessity and a ritual. It has also become standard practice in our household to monitor wind direction closely and ensure that all windows are closed whenever the wind blows from the west or the northwest. We have lost multiple plantings over the years due to constant pummeling from sand and debris that blow onto our property. Rhododendrons, mountain laurels, and PJMs have suffered the worst damage, to the point I have given up growing certain plantings altogether. Until now, we have never filed a written complaint. We simply did our best to manage the problem ourselves. However, since last fall and into this past winter, the volume of sand leaving BCC's property has increased dramatically, creating a much more severe and noticeable problem. This escalation seems to coincide with mining and sand removal activities being moved much closer to our residential neighborhood. The nuisance sand and constant machinery noise associated with BCC's operations are not new issues, but rather old problems resurfacing and worsening once again. I sincerely hope that at this hearing, some longtime residents will attend and feel comfortable sharing their own experiences and repeated complaints about this ongoing issue. It is time for our town to acknowledge and address the long-standing impact of BCC's operations on nearby residents. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, James and Laurel Carcel, Dalton, Massachusetts, 117 Raymond Drive. Mr. Griffin, you'll be, yes, okay. Zach, that's it for correspondence from me. You're welcome.
I think it was important to have those read, not only for the people of Dalton to hear, but for Berkshire Concrete to hear also.
Thank you. This will give you a break. Take a breath. This correspondence is in reference to, my name, Ronald Griffin, 33 Florence Street, Dalton, Massachusetts. This correspondence is in reference to the hearing on November 19th, 25, concerning the special permit application for Berkshire Concrete. That's this evening. I, Ronald Griffin, and my wife, Lynn Griffin, live at 33 Florence Street in Dalton. We discovered the secret sand mine by accident when we went on Google Earth to find out what was northwest of our house that would be the cause of the deluge of sand we were experiencing on January 9th. That was the beginning. We later found out that for whatever reason, due to clerical error, no permit ever awarded, or negligence, this sand mine was being excavated since 2022 with no permit or oversight. The sand mine on lot 10516 is approximately 750 feet from our house. We constantly are bombarded with sand, although sometimes it is extremely overwhelming. On January 9th, 2025, I visited the Board of Health agent Agnes Wachowski to inform and show her videos of our neighborhood. She was concerned enough to contact the DEP, who were very concerned and helpful initially. Little by little, DEP backed off what they considered to be their responsibility, but never really responded. Even Leah Davis, our state rep, was on board. In fact, attending board meetings and reaching out to the environmental firms to get sand tested until she suddenly ceased communication with the neighborhood. Lynn and I went to board meeting after board meeting, planning board, select board, conservation commission, without much success. Things appear to be moving forward on the site. Cease and desist ordered, mitigation of part 10516, remediation order, don't really know where that stands. We have experienced sand for a very long time, but there were times when the sand pollution became epic. As well as January 9th, on March 7th and 8th, 2025, the sand covered Center Pond as well as the immediate neighborhood. According to the EPA, small particulate matter can travel many miles and stay in the atmosphere for days to weeks. We could blame Mother Nature for causing a drought that exacerbates the problem, along with strong winds from the west, northwest, or northwest, but we have no control over Mother Nature. We have looked to our own town government to protect us by enforcing the rules and regulations that have been established. Many people in the neighborhood had respiratory issues and are seeking pulmonologists. My wife has lung cancer and had a lobectomy to remove one of the 3 lobes which made up her right lung. That happened when we moved to Florence Street off of Grange Hall Road. That's when her health problems started. Her oncologist at Brigham and Women's in Boston is concerned and stated in an email, sand is basically silica. The National Institute of Occupational Health has stated that sand used in construction is 96 to 100% silica. This is why the sand on lot 105-16 and the other lots is so valuable. Silica sand is the key ingredient in concrete, as it strengthens concrete and contributes to its durability and resistance to external elements. Although there is a concern about the effects of silica, any abundance of small particulate matter is dangerous to breathe, as it is easily transported to your lungs. It is what you don't see that is so dangerous, not necessarily the nuisance sand that we see every day. We are very concerned about the children that live in our neighborhood. There are at least 7 that we know of that live on Prospect, Hale, Pleasant, Deming Streets. It is very, very harmful for young developing lungs to inhale the sand pollution we are experiencing. If Berkshire Concrete is allowed a special permit for lot 105-16 or other lots, how do we, the residents suffering with pollution, have a guarantee that the rules and regulations will be followed, since they haven't in the past? I'm not sure where the blame should go for what has occurred on lot 105-16, but it cannot ever happen again. On July 28, 2022, The United Nations General Assembly passed a historic resolution declaring that everyone on the planet has a right to a healthy environment. We, the residents of Dalton, Massachusetts, United States of America, North America, Western Hemisphere, planet Earth, are being denied that right. We have been denied that right for decades by Berkshire Concrete Corporation. With respect, Ronald and Lynn Griffin, 33 Florence Street, Dalton, Massachusetts. Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this permit. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll go to the residents that want to speak against the permit. I'm going to let Dan Filio call on people. Is that okay, Dan?
That's fine. Tony?
Thank you. Thank you to everyone here this evening. BCC, Berkshire Concrete Corporation, mined parcel 10516 off Bridle Road without a valid permit from December of 2022 until the spring of 2025. How did this happen? BCC omitted listing parcel 10516 front and center in its annual special permit application to the Planning Board in December of 2022. A near illegible map of 10516, inclusive of other parcels that had been mined routinely over decades, was submitted, but 10516 wasn't discerned on this map. However, 6 months later, in July of 2023, BCC filed a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission and correctly listed 10516 front and center. BCC failed to list 10516 in its special permit applications to the Planning Board for the following 2 years, 23-24 and 24-25. To be kind, what I've just described I find highly irregular. During the 2.5 years of unpermitted mining, dozens of the trees were taken down and thousands of cubic yards of earth was removed. Acres of exposed and unprotected landscape proved ripe for westerly winds to blow dirt and dust regularly upon our neighbors' adjacent property, contaminating the air they breathed. It was only through our neighbors' repeated complaints did this situation come to our community's attention. The Board of Health issued a cease and desist order in the spring of 2025. The Board of Health further requested BCC submit a dust mitigation plan. BCC stopped operations and unilaterally decided to restore less than 50% of the mined area on 10516. Public nuisance complaints of dust and dirt continued. Our community and town government requested that BCC restore the entire parcel to mitigate this blowing debris. BCC refused, contending that it intended to continue mining 10516 and continuous properties in its forthcoming special permit application for the 25-26 year. To date, BCC has not submitted a dust mitigation plan even after the Board of Health's second request to do so in October. This in accordance with the findings of Berkshire Environmental, our third-party consultant. At our town meeting, our community unanimously supported the allocation of monies for sand sampling and air monitoring. 4 air monitors have been in place for several weeks. This past summer, BCC agreed to the collection of sand samples. It has since withdrawn permission to obtain these sand samples. Funds for legal services are being expended, particularly towards investigating the deeding of properties to BCC in regard to, quote, grandfathering rights. BCC has yet to provide any evidence of grandfathering rights. BCC has yet to respond to our Zoning Board of Appeals directive to restore all of 10516, other than to state it will not appeal this decision. And the Clean Air Committee, consisting of town officials and citizens, have compiled terms and conditions for the Planning Board's consideration. Berkshire Environmental, our consultant, submitted its findings in early October. The Department of Environmental Protection is delineating operational standards to which BCC must subscribe. Yes. Dalton's town government continues to address the concerns relating to BCC's mining and excavation operations. Correspondence from BCC's attorney's office repeatedly makes reference to being, quote, a good neighbor. As I've related, BCC's actions are not the actions of a good neighbor. The residents who are assembled this evening is proof of the gravity of this ongoing concern. I would respectfully request that the Planning Board be deliberate and patient in its proceedings, seek the guidance of third-party consultants at BCC's expense, question and request any and all information, and impose reasonable and enforceable terms and conditions towards protecting the well-being and safety of our neighbors' property, and more importantly, their persons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimbo? Is there anybody besides Jim? Okay. Thank you.
Jim Burgess, 10 Renee Drive. Apparently Yanko didn't get my letter I sent him. Mr. Chairman, the issue of not having lot 10516 on the permit, considering how much opposition BCC has gotten from residents, abutters of the property in the past, with all the issues they've had 20, 30 years ago on Sunnyside, Bruce Drive, Renee Drive, it just strikes me as kind of interesting. If this was an honest mistake, why did the managers at Berkshire Concrete not question why none of the abutters were showing up at the public hearings for 3 years? Seems kind of odd. The other thing is what they did on 10516 by so aggressively cutting into that hill and cutting down all those trees is they greatly altered the wind patterns. And the 150 feet of trees that they left were part of mature forest, pine trees very close together. They had long straight trunks with stuff at the top. Nothing down below, because there was no sunlight down below. And when the wind changed and got more intense because of the way they changed the landscape, it sheared a whole bunch of those trees right off in half. It landed on a person's property. She spent $6,000 cleaning that up. She didn't realize why this was happening. Now, even with all those trees between that spot and Raymond Drive, they're still getting lots of sand. If they continue to mine and expand this mine, it's going to get so much worse because they're going to cut down a lot more trees. And there's nothing they can do to mitigate the sand leaving the property unless they just constantly soak it down, and there ain't enough water to do that.
Ted?
So I want to thank you guys for addressing this. I grew up in this town. I've been in Dalton since 1962. Ted DePietro, 68 Daly Avenue. I grew up on 232 High Street. In 2004, my mother died from emphysema. Never smoked, never was around chemicals or anything, but she was outside all the time on High Street. That's number one. The second thing is, that company is on a federal trail. That trail is the Underground Railroad known as the Appalachian Trail. The Hoos House is a historic house on Park Street and Gulf Road. How this company is operating with this type of a situation, I have no idea. And for them not to be honest about it, I have no idea. But you need to be concerned about this because there is something going on health-wise in this town. and it's evident, and I've been a tile guy for 40 years, and I'm around silica, and I wear a mask when I'm using silica, because silica causes cancer. We all know that, okay? So I understand that Patrica needs to run a company and all that, but they need to be responsible for the community that they're operating this in. It's not about money, it's about people, it's about us. We rule the town here, not a big corporation. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Lynn? Could you introduce yourself when you come up, sir?
Thank you. I'm Pete Anderson, 54 Ensign Street in Dalton. I just wanted to say we absolutely had the right to hear the letters tonight, and so I appreciate Mr. McCain's decision to allow for us to hear that today, and thank you for reading all of them. I know it wasn't easy. So as you know, this is a very serious issue for our town and community, as you're hearing tonight. It's a contentious environmental, ecological, and health issue that's affecting all of our physical and mental health, as you can hear. In 1999, my wife and I moved to 196 Park Avenue and lived there for a year. After living there for a few weeks, we had a concern with the truck traffic that shook our windows and moved the photos on our walls as they were going by. With new access roads being talked about tonight, my concern is with that truck traffic and how that's going to affect the neighbors that we have. In 2020, during the pandemic, my son and I would hike back there, and we saw large amounts of earth and trees being cut down. We were very surprised at that, thinking it might be a additional solar installation. Some unique and beautiful trails and habitat for wildlife there all disappeared. So in hindsight, I wish I knew to complain and to say something at that time. Now I know the avenues to do that at this time. I appreciate this time to speak, and thank you.
Anyone else, please? Peter?
Pete Person, 30 Florence Street. I'm just going to condense some of what is in 350.61, which is, I believe, a bylaw. For the public safety to control noise, air, or water pollution, okay, and to protect neighboring residential properties from adverse effects caused by earth removal use. Mr. Egan suggested that BCC is not running away from its responsibility, that they're owning up to it. However, when asked why remediation was not done on 105-16, it is alleged that the BCC representative said, we didn't remediate that area as we're going there next. It's kind of, it's quite a presumption considering that they were never permitted for that lot to begin with. So, Mr. Egan also suggested that the problem was partially caused by an inexperienced plant manager. I find this statement to be very disturbing, as it's BCC's responsibility to ensure that appropriate operations are its operations are compliant with 350-61. Okay, saying that we hired somebody that couldn't handle the job is not an excuse, you know. Regarding the tree cutting, I've personally witnessed, before they posted their property, where they cut right up to the tree line, and it's troublesome that they cut pretty much right up to the property lines, and now the remediation where, you know, they've cut, like they said, 100+ foot trees that served as a buffer zone and a filter to a degree, that now they've been replaced with these little 6-foot shrubs. You know, in time they will grow, but you know, it's not going to help any of us now. You know, it was mentioned earlier, but I think it bears repeating that satellite imagery shows that they had processing equipment on 10516, and I question, is that even part of the permitting process that allows them to move processing equipment to other parts of the lot? Because as I see it, they always processed in one spot, but it looked like perhaps it was maybe a little more convenient and expeditious to move the processing to 10516. So I'm all set, thank you.
Lady in the back, please.
Yes, my name is Carol Andrus, and I live the closest on 30 off Prospect Street to the dust and the dirt. And what I've gone through this past year has been unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. The backhoes were going right up to, not up to my property, but right up to the top of the hill, knocking down trees. And last July 23rd, 2024, there was a mini burst that knocked down 8 or 9 trees on my property that I had to pay for, over $6,000. And that one tree also landed on my house. And I've got pictures to prove it. It was awful. And now, because of that, you know, that area, the dust is blowing in even more. I had someone come in a couple of weeks ago to clean my house because I couldn't see out of the windows. And that was $700 to do that. And this is an ongoing thing. I think what Berkshire Concrete really doesn't care about the people in Dalton. All they care about is making money, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the health. Now, I have lung problems now, too, because of this. And I've been going to a pulmonologist for the last 2 years. And I've never had these problems. And I'm on medication. I just had to have another CAT scan. I mean, how many other people are going to be affected? I feel sorry for the young people growing up. Fortunately, my grandkids don't live here because it would be awful for them. No, I don't know. They tried to put one of those air monitors up. However, because I have too much shade, they had to come and take it out. It was only up for 3 or 4 days, but at least they made an effort. So this, you know, it's got to stop. I mean, it can't continue because they didn't have permits. They did it on their own. Never contacted any of us. We never got letters. I never even knew that they were going to start. I mean, is that really fair to us? And I've been there over 40 years. It's really not fair, but I am the closest house at the end of off Prospect Street to get the majority of the dust and dirt. Fortunately, I have another house. I have a house in Florida that I can go to, that I can get away from it, which I'm going to be heading down there. But what about all the time that I didn't know what they were doing? I thought they were putting solar panels in. No one sent a letter, and yet they said they did. So who do we believe? It's time we all got together and just stop this nonsense. It's got to be stopped. It really does. They shouldn't be allowed to have any more permits. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Anyone else who wants to say anything? Jeff?
Jeff Harrell, 15 Hanswood Court. I think we got a simple math problem. I actually do. You've got a company like Patrica that it's their livelihood to make money. We've got the town of Dalton that is trying to make money to keep our town lively. But there's a third equation, and it's people's health. And I don't like the word Trump, but it trumps profit. People's health trumps profit. And that's, I can't make it any simpler than that. People's health trumps profit. Thank you.
Richard?
So a question first, Mr. Moderator. Is there anyone that's not going to talk that wants to give me 3 extra minutes to talk? Right here. 3 minutes. Okay. So that's 6. 3 for Laurel. Okay, so there's plenty of minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Richard Hall, 164 Green Ridge Drive. I just wanted to address my written comments. There was a summary of the questions and comments, but there's actually 8 pages of questions that I hope the planning board will review and then ask questions of Berkshire Concrete, because their application seems very administratively missing in pieces. So that would be something that definitely needs to be looked at. The other thing is, by increasing their mining operation, they're going to use a lot more water. We need to know exactly where that water is coming from and how much they're going to use, because that might have implications not only throughout the town, but it might have implications for Crane Paper, because I understand the Crane Paper get some of their water from the same location. So that's something that's very serious that should be looked at. They seem to not follow any of the provisions in the special permits in the past, and I think that's covered there. Their new map that's not signed by a surveyor, which is required, they put a lineated line for gravel along the neighborhood boundary at 100 feet. So maybe they need to get someone to read the actual bylaws, because my understanding is it's 150 feet. I mean, I don't think that they should be allowed to mine that close anyway. They also put a narrative that they want to actually mine in the area that's north of the area, but they want to build a road through by the neighborhood and mine in that area. The only question I have is they already have a road that goes up to a northern area that they're mining now that goes to the processing area. So why not just use that road and show some area that they want to mine? This is if you want to approve something, don't let them go near the neighborhoods, because that's crazy. And that's all in here. Let them use the road that goes up further north and do a little bit of mining and see if they can actually follow permit conditions that are going to be put in place. The last thing I will say is that I heard that apparently moving from 1 million square feet to 10 million square feet, and then from 100 yards, 100,000 yards to 250,000 yards is a substantial increase. But apparently they can do that because some lawsuit back in whenever. The other question at the moment is that the DEP decided that they were actually creating more dust, and so they would need to have an air permit. Now, back in May 22nd, DEP found that this had a lot of things that needed to be looked at, and gave them 180 days, which would make that November the 22nd. As one of my questions is, where does that stand, and when do they think the DEP is going to rule on that permit? And what happens if they rule against Berkshire Concrete? Does that mean the processing plant gets closed down? So I just asked that the planning board look at my document and ask some detailed questions of Berkshire Concrete. And yes, I hope that you do deny it, but if you don't, there should be serious questions. They even said that they want to mine north, so use the road that they've already built and not go anywhere near the neighborhoods on that side of the pond, and leave in place the trees, the frogs, the salamanders, and the neighborhood will get less dust. And also in here, I've asked that we look at how they're going to keep the dust down on open spaces. As it was pointed out to me, we don't care how much dust they create on the site, it's how they're going to stop it on the site. I don't think they've addressed that clearly. So please have a look at my detailed documentation. And if you have questions, by all means, ask me. Thank you for your time and for all you do.
Dave?
Dave Pugh, 140 Raymond Drive. I want to first thank members of the planning board and other boards, Yanko, town planner, Terry, our interim town manager, and I welcome our new town managers. I hope to meet you in person this evening. But I thank you for specifically this evening, I really thank you for your attentiveness. And spending the time for all of us to share our thoughts and listen to those who could not be here tonight in regards to this permit renewal application. Zach, I appreciate your persistence in making sure that happened tonight, so thank you. My roles within this story. My first role standing here tonight is as a concerned father for the health of my family, my future grandchildren that I hope to have with share with my wife, my neighbors, and those that choose to live in the town of Dalton in the future. I am also a voice for those deceased that are very much a part of a 80-plus year story with an embedded theme for which Berkshire Concrete and Patrick Industries have displayed a generational disregard for our community. I am a co-founder of the Dalton Clean Air Coalition and vice chair of the newly formed Dalton Clean Air Committee, alongside members such as Tony, who spoke earlier, and Richard Hall, and Dennis on the planning board, and other board members. To be very clear to the entire county, I, my wife Lisa, and fellow members of the Dalton Clean Air Coalition, we are not citizens who are interested in putting a business or people out of work. We simply want Berkshire Concrete and Patrica Industries to follow rules and be a good neighbor for which they claim to be. We ask the town, boards such as yourself, to put the health and welfare of our residents as their first priority when making decisions within their respective boards. What have I witnessed and learned over the last 10 months? The negligence of Berkshire Concrete and Patrica Industries in relation to what has transpired on Lot 10516 over the last 2+ years. Berkshire Concrete is a company that is not proactive. I said it on the site to Perry Patrica and members of his team. I said it that day, and I remain fast in that statement. They are not a company that are proactive in their work in our town. They're slightly reactive, not fully reactive, when the town asks them to clean up a mess. Berkshire Concrete is a company that does what they want. I've met people that have worked generationally in this company for Berkshire Concrete and or Patrica Industries. In their words, quote unquote, as stated before in my wife's letter and mine. We did what we want. We knew what we were doing. We own that town. Right from their voices, right from their mouth. Berkshire is a company Berkshire Concrete is a company that does what they want. Actions over the last 10 months and a vast historical record support this. Berkshire Concrete, Patrica Industries feel as if they own our town, as I said earlier. Excuse me for repeating. Berkshire Concrete and Patrica Industries continually state they're a good neighbor. They simply are not. They are not a good neighbor. I am a good neighbor, and I hope my neighbors around me feel that I am. I act as a good neighbor, and my actions speak for themselves. Your actions do not speak. Well, your actions do speak for themselves. You're not a good neighbor. To close, today I really feel optimistic that we live on a new day, a new year, a new chapter in this story. We, my fellow members of the Dalton Clean Air Coalition and our community, and please listen, we will continue to be persistent in changing the narrative of this long story, one that protects us. And in final, we, as the residents of Dalton, we own this town. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to comment? Eli?
Yeah, they did supply us some new maps. I have the larger map of the whole area up here. Anybody's welcome to come look at it. I printed it out on the full size, so it's to scale. And what Richard said earlier about the buffer zone, does have the buffer zone on the map, but it's only 100 feet. It's supposed to be 150 feet. So, and then, so that, yeah, they did add additional information to the lots. I don't know that they did them all, but they did supply a new map. But this map is not signed by a surveyor either, so.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
Good evening, Board. My name is Michael Hill. I live at 5 Bruce Drive. I'm also involved with this to some point. I wasn't expecting to speak today, so just bear with me. We also have kids. They're all grown now, but they were kids. We moved there back in 1997, 5 Bruce Drive, and they're kind of on their own now as adults, sort of. But next door to me, there's a house that has an in-house daycare. She walks those kids up and down Bruce Drive, Renee Drive, Raymond Drive. Plus there's additional families that just moved in with young kids. So this is a health issue for both elderly and young kids that are there. And I'm sure you're aware of it. There's not much more I can add to all that. What I would like to add is the obvious, okay? You mentioned you were kind of opposed to not reading all the letters because there's so many, correct? Yes, no? Not opposed to read, for the record. You want in the record, there's no need to read them, right? Because there's so many, it would just take so long.
No, I'm just saying as a matter of law, they're in the public record already.
Okay. And you mentioned that normally we don't have this many letters, correct? So it's clearly obvious that the majority, if not everybody in this town has an issue with this, that wants you to deny this permit. Now, it's up to you whether you do it or not. The only thing I want to ask or question is a question to the representative for Concrete, Berkshire Concrete, is what are you going to do? What is your remediation? What are you going to do if this permit is denied? I'd like to put it on the record right now, tonight, what their intention is, if he's willing to do that. If he doesn't have time because he's not allocated, because he already spoke, my wife Angela will cede 3 minutes of her time. So that's all I have to say.
Zach, it would be up to you whether or not you want to.
If there's nobody else that wants to speak,
If you want to ask him to give him.
yeah, if there's nobody else at this point.
Okay. Is there anyone else? No, I'm sorry.
A lot that was said, needed to be said. But one thing I was looking forward to coming here tonight was I wanted to know what Berkshire Concrete's side was going to be. I was very interested to hear, and maybe I would hear some things that would help me understand what was happening. But what I heard was their attorneys say that missteps are not a measure of good behavior. The reaction to those missteps are. Well, we all make mistakes, but when we have a history going back decades, that's more than just a mistake. And to say missteps are not a measure of good behavior, but the reaction to those are, that is exactly true. And I think that we have seen tonight the reaction to those missteps, the lack of reaction. So he has proved his point to us beautifully. So thank you for making that statement, because it has been proven tonight that your reaction to those missteps has been woefully inadequate. Probably better words for that than I can think of right now. We had a cease and desist order in February. If he was so concerned about his reaction to those missteps, it would have been mitigated. Because as the zoning board said just recently, 350-61 says, as soon as there is not a permit, it immediately needs to be mitigated. So if they were truly acting in good faith, truly wanting to do the right thing, they would not be mincing words and hiding behind legal precepts. They would be doing the right thing. They've had since February when this was called to their attention. They could have done it. So yes, missteps may not be a measure of good behavior, but your reaction to those are. And we've all been watching. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to comment? Mr. Chairman, I see none.
Okay, do you want to respond to some of the comments? Yeah.
Let the record reflect that everyone from Berkshire Concrete has been nothing but civil to everyone in here. For someone to get up and snide comments, I just think is disrespectful. So we've taken notes, and we will respond in writing, and we're certainly not going to answer any hypotheticals this evening about what Berkshire Concrete will or won't do if the permit is renewed or not renewed, but we've taken notes, and we plan to respond in writing to the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the board members can ask Berkshire Concrete questions, and I think Robert had some questions for Tony.
Yeah, I've got some for both the town attorney and I don't know if BCC's attorney will answer, but some of the letters, I feel I take this whole story. I've been in the middle of it, the front end of it, still in it. I think some of the letters, the concerns that people are writing are great, but I also feel that for myself and the rest of these board members, some of the information, I just need clarification on some of the statements that were made and some of the accusations that were made. And I feel that some of these things are very important in my process of thinking on if I allowed the permit, agreed with the permit, or disagreed with the permit. I need some of these questions answered just so I can have a clear conscience of how I'm voting. One of my first questions is everybody talks about all the violations that have been tallied up on BCC. I'd like to ask Brian Duvall, through the chair, how many violations have you written up on BCC in the last 5 years? And that was the one that was given 2 months ago or the beginning of the year. Okay, so it's not numerous. It's one. Okay. My next question's to BCC, either the attorney or the operations manager. Does BCC use the polyacclimate chemical in processing the sand and stone on the site? Okay. I felt that one of the letters that were written and referred to strip mining, that I don't know if it was a scare tactic, but I didn't think they used polyacclimate, and I just wanted clarification. The other one, a couple more, is was stated that BCC has not appealed the Zoning Board of Appeals decision. Is that a true statement? I don't know who can answer that.
They have appealed it. They have appealed this.
Please. I believe they asked the question of the
of BCC. Have you or have you not appealed this? You have. I thought you had. You have appealed. Okay.
Mediate the rest of lot 1, or lot 16. Okay.
The next thing I'm a little confused on, and if you guys saw me flipping maps up here and shuffling, there's been reference to the new access road that's going to make it closer to the neighborhood and be more disruptive. I want clarification on the latest map that I've received. It shows that the new road actually is way further away from the boundary lines than what has been assumed, that the new access road isn't going further into the neighborhood area. It's actually coming away from the neighborhood area. Is it true on our latest map, or is there some discretion that we're just missing? Okay, so just so I'm clear with everybody, the latest map that has been given to us, the new access road is, it's I don't know what the scale on this is, but it's nowhere near the lot 101-25 and in the neighborhood. I can't, near Gerard's home. It is, if this, the scale on the map says it's 1 inch equals 100 feet, the new access road, yeah. The new access road is, just to give people an idea, I'm going to put my hand on, I'm going to put my right hand on the new access road, and the lot that we were talking about is way over here. So, because it says new access road.
It says new road on the map.
I got you.
It says new road on it. It's the 2025-05 OP1. Right here. New access road.
Yeah, I don't think that's pertaining to what we're talking about.
So what road are they talking about?
So what road are they talking about?
Well, if you look at this,
it says new road.
but it's not a new road. That's just left on there from an old drawing. If you look at this is where they're planning on taking the road, around there.
That's what they're planning on digging.
Yeah, and they're planning on extending the road around. That's what.
Because if you look at how this road comes, see,
I thought this is the path of mining, not a road.
Path of mining, not the road.
Yeah,
They want to do a road and mine that.
All right. Then there needs to be a clarification there then. 'Cause
You're going around the wrong area. This is where they want to go.
No, we're not. Look at,
That's their
No,
existing road. That, they already have that.
but
They
it's
mine
coming in
here,
this way.
and
Okay.
that's where they want.
So, can you clarify that? On this map, it's an old map, it just keeps getting updated. And there's a road on there that says new road. That's actually a road that's been there for quite a while. So are you extending that road around? That's what we were told previously.
Okay. So I saw that this says new road here, and because it was the latest map, I was assuming that because it said new road, that was the extent you were coming in the other way, because the way this road says new road, it shows that you could go up that road and turn right and come into that area versus putting the road up and around the pond. So that's my confusion.
That area up above where it says new road, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but that area is actually being reclaimed at this point, correct?
Okay.
This is being reclaimed.
So this is, they're gonna come around this way, okay. No, that's one of the reasons I wanted to clarify.
So this map, this is printed out at the wrong scale.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be printed out at 36 by 48 for the scale to be accurate.
Yep.
See, that's 1 inch equals 100 feet.
Yep.
That's not an inch.
Nope.
But this is.
Okay. All right. So that was my next question. And then, is it the responsibility of BCC to send out the letters to the neighbors, or is it the town's responsibility and the town planner's responsibility? Okay. Okay. And the last one is the DEP did have monitoring stations set up at one time, or they did come and monitor. And what was the final outcome of the DEP's air monitoring for the day or two that they came? What did they find that how the testing was equivalent to the ambient air quality average? Okay. Okay. Those are the questions I had.
Did you have any other? You have any?
There's one drawing, and then there's some other associated paperwork there that goes with it. They're identified exhibits 1, 2, and 3. If you want to take a look at the drawing first, Exhibit 1. There's some key information on that drawing that I'd like to inquire about. Who signed that drawing? It's in big black letters, you can't miss it. Okay, thank you. Second question on that drawing. The drawing is oriented in the wrong direction, actually. South is at the top and north is at the bottom. Typically it's north at the top and south at the bottom, but this happens to be in reverse. And this drawing reflects some reclamation areas that were agreed to as part of an agreement between Patrica and Crane & Company back in 1993. In 94. Now you see the areas that are delineated on the left-hand side of the paper. There's some highlighted areas, green and yellow. But to the left of those green and yellow, the two on the right-hand side, there's a pond area it doesn't say pond, but that's the pond area or retention basin. And then there's the area on the left-hand side of that pond. Now I'd like to go back to, once you have oriented that drawing, I'd like to go back to, let's see, reference 2, item, it's one of the other documents that are in the package. Got it? Correct. Correct. That's the agreement, what it contains there, and on second page of the document, it's labeled 1A. Those are conditions that were agreed to by Perry Patrica and Crane and Company. And if you look at item 1C, it says there shall be no extraction of any materials in any of the areas shown on the plan. And the reference is that plan, the drawing that you have in your hand. Why, my question is, why are we asking to transit that area or excavate from that area? Thank you very much.
You have 3 people that have questions.
We have questions.
Okay. when they're
Yeah,
done.
let's finish these questions.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna refer to the conditions that were set in place on the most recently signed permit with conditions dated for 2024. I understand that they were not permitted to work in this particular site. However, they still had the intention that they were permitted, so they would have been following these guidelines, or should have been, right? So I do have a condition here. Let's see, page 4, where am I? Where is my page 3? There we go. So these are conditions that were created by us in August 16th, 2000, okay, 2000. And I'm gonna specifically refer to condition number 5, okay? And condition number 5 there said, no new excavation for gravel extraction shall occur below an elevation of 1,150 feet. So I'd like you to look at your maps and determine where that contour line is and determine where your excavation occurred, because it is below 1,150 feet. Thank you. That's one kind of question, why that happened. Let's see. My other question is condition number 9. Test pits shall be excavated at a depth of 15 feet or more to groundwater level at 200 lineal feet or less intervals as the faces of the excavation migrate. Okay, you used the word face as well, so that's new to me. But notification of the date and time of these excavations shall be provided by the applicant to the Dalton Planning Board and to Crane and Company at least 48 hours in advance of the excavation. May we please see copies of these? Okay. And then we have condition number 12. Topsoil previously piled in various locations in areas marked to be excavated on the applicant's application map may be removed, provided that A, adequate measures are taken to prevent erosion, and B, any disturbed areas are reseeded within 2 weeks of activity. Now, do you guys participate in that activity? Or do you own that you don't do that? Any disturbed areas are reseeded within 2 weeks of activity. Sure.
2 questions, 2 different statements.
come back to you. No more questions from me for the moment.
I'm not too sure if I got a question or just a statement, and I think we've talked about this a couple times over the past year. A lot of it is these maps and everything is just a suggestion that we've talked about, and it seems like it's reared its head again. But we were talking about if we were moving forward trying to do a permit, we would actually physically mark off the land. I don't believe that was done, one. Number two, we still have these crazy plans that aren't to scale, and they're not really dictating what the application's doing. So I just think that, I mean, it's very hard for us as a board member to understand what you're really wanting to do when it's a lot of different things on it. You know, the Mr. Collins brought up the new road. It's an old road, but when we see it in your permit application and we see the plan, it's very deceiving. So I think to try to help us out with that area, because as you know, there's a lot of, we can use all the help we can get for you. Yep.
Questions at the front end might have been loaded because I knew what was coming to my left, but I'm trying to sum up all my questions that the maps of confusion is one of the biggest things that I find very complicated, and I think the rest of the board has pointed out we just need to start over with these maps. You need to help us out, and help yourself out by giving us something to look at that we can put our teeth into, because I honestly thought that your new road on these maps was the new road, and you were trying to get it away from the public, and I was totally blindsided once again because the maps are totally not applicable for what you guys are doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, we've approved a couple permits in consecutive years, and it has been left out in those years, but still worked on in that area. But here on the notice of decision that I was referring to before, the most recent one from 2024, the special conditions from November 2nd, 1992, special condition number 3, restoration. I'm specifically going to refer to the second paragraph of that number 3, that the 90 days prior to the permit renewal date, the SPGA will be provided a plan of the area to be restored during the next calendar year. The plan shall delineate the area to be restored and show appropriate finish grades within 2 feet. Were those provided consecutively to the SPGA with this site as you were moving into the area, regardless of it being approved, accurately being approved or not? Because we know it wasn't, and that's a whole thing. But I just want to know, were these measures being taken?
Yeah, so you don't know the answer as I sit here, but we'll get you that answer.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I was just gonna add to it. Should that language, it would seem to be, we should have had that information prior to a new permit application this year.
Correct. And then, actually, following that, in that same area there, let's see, emission safeguards and limitations per the February 28, 1994 stipulation of dismissal between Crane and Company versus Berkshire Concrete. Let's see, there was a few conditions there, A, B, C, and D. Some just specifically talked about reclaiming certain areas in a workmanlike manner in the calendar year of 1994. So obviously that's not valid now, but D does specifically say, in succeeding years, reclamation is to progressively proceed on the remainder of the land shown on the reclamation plan in order that there be established a proper permanent vegetation cover on all of the land shown on the reclamation plan by no later than 1 year following the cessation of the removal of material from the premises. I just want to know if you guys have been compliant with that. Yes or no?
As far as I know, we have, but we'll confirm that.
Thank you. And let's see. I'll just have this question to you. Have you ever self-reported compliance issues in the past?
I don't know the answer to that, but I'll get that answer for you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask about 217-3, that lot, because when I visited the site with Brian, we went up with Dennis and Trevor. That area at the top of what is called New Road on this map, it's an old road, was actually an area that's being reclaimed. They're not actually mining that anymore. They had started reclaiming that area and sloping the material, but it's on this new permit. So why would that be?
Yeah, the answer to that is, in order to avoid another instance in which there was confusion over which lot, which parcels were going to be mined, we're looking to permit the entire parcel so that we wouldn't run into another issue where there was a clerical error, which is obviously viewed by all of us as embarrassing at best, and people can draw their own conclusion as to intent. So that was the reason.
So but that doesn't make sense, because if you're not going to be working there or mining there, why would you include it in the permit? Yeah.
Site visit, we went to visit, I believe, I was there with Trevor, with Alan, with Dennis, Kirsten, and Brian, and we went over all of the parcels. We mapped them out. We showed them, we asked them exactly, hey, where are you planning to do any and all work? And they said that they were planning to do some reclamation up in that, on that parcel. And due to that, we, like Dennis just said, to avoid having another incident where something was not permitted, where there was a question of clerical, anything like that, we wanted all the parcels where any work was being done to be on the application. We requested that of them at that site visit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that was the discussion we had at the Scale House, and I believe back in June of this year. Yes.
So it looks like on the map that area extends beyond the line of 217-3 that was being mined there, but it doesn't have the lot above that line of 217-3, what lot that is on the map.
We'll look into that. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
And do you have an operation manual for the gravel pit, DCC?
Yeah. Oh, sure, requires an operations manual.
Okay, can that be shared with the planning board?
Sure.
Okay. Because we had other gravel pits that were submitted, gravel operations that were submitted, that had a complete booklet of policies and procedures and what to do for certain things. So if you have something like that, that would be helpful.
Sure.
And for us to see what should be done rather than just what's going on.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Just another comment, if you don't mind. We're pretty much, they're applying to do probably 200 acres of a lot of it that they've redone on the site. I'm figuring that the parcel 105-12, that's their screening yard, right?
Yeah, down there.
So that is on the permit. So I think that we should, if we're talking about digging, we should, I think 350 says we only have 5 acres open at a time.
Yep.
So if we're gonna be having 200,
Actually, I don't think it said anything about the size.
I thought it was somewhere maybe a maximum of 5 acres open at any one time.
That was on some of the other permits we granted.
For mining, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we're kind of approving 200 acres to be permitted, and some of it's already been mined.
Yep.
And redone, so I think that, that's gonna confuse me.
Okay.
And probably some other people. So I appreciate everybody's thought about the work in there, but I think we really gotta focus down to really what we're doing and what should be completed. What was supposed to be completed, I think should have been brought to us within 90 days of the new permit, and we're not too sure if that's been finished, right? And we got way too much out there right now, so we don't make the same mistakes.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any more questions. Well, there is.
I got a question. If I got the opportunity now, so you have the map that you presented us, an actual colored map, this one here. It was your proposal. It was submitted with the narrative with us, right?
Yep.
And the narrative specifically says that your ultimate goal is to extract gravel from 105-12. -12, 105-12. Very first sentence, very first everything. That's your ultimate goal.
Yep.
But the looks of this plan really just show that you want to excavate between two green lines that you just kind of...
On 105-60.
Correct.
Yep.
And 101-25. Okay, actually you went really wide in 101-25, like really wide, like way bigger than a road would be.
That's a multi-year plan.
What's that?
So that's a multi-year plan.
Right. So I understand that, but I would like to see a clearer vision of what that actual road would be.
Okay.
Compared to your excavation line, because it's very vague.
Okay.
And it's not shown on the big maps. It's only shown on this little dinky color map.
Okay.
That you actually blur out wetland areas and other things on this map. And I also want to ask, why is your intention to go really like funnel wide, the widest point of this excavation, right in the most fragile wetland area of Walker Brook and its tributaries? Okay, it's literally, you actually show the river coming through it here, and I just want to know why. Why can't you go from the other side, from your lot 217-3, and work your way that way on parcel 105-12?
Yeah, we know that we're subject to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act as well as the town wetlands bylaw, and we're going to comply with that. And to the extent that means coming at it another way, that's what'll happen.
So that would, in my eyes, that would be you going up your old road.
It could be.
And going to the right instead of going around the pond like you're.
Could be.
Around these neighborhoods. So I'd like that to be clarified and addressed before we move at all forward.
Okay.
Sorry, could I make a suggestion? So based on what I'm hearing and what I've seen with the application, it seems like there's multiple different plans here from various time frames. there's clearly a requirement in the zoning bylaw that there be a current site plan prepared by a civil engineer that shows the areas that are proposed to be mined going forward. I think it should also show the areas that are proposed for reclamation. I think that would, abate some of the confusion here. So Dennis, I would hope that's something you guys would consider.
Sure.
It's, a current site plan.
Okay.
Go through all that, let's just see if we can keep it to the minimum, like reclaim this area in all the detail, exactly where you guys want to do within a 5-acre parcel, within a year, or whatever that time limit is. Because this, I would be very uncomfortable with this broad stroke right here,
Yeah,
we should focus it a little bit better for, and just stay really detailed to a real specific thing moving forward, just to try to see if we can get a feel of this.
We'll work through town council to make sure that all these questions, concerns, requests are taken into consideration.
I think we had a couple more questions from the audience.
Yeah,
Are all the prints and plans and maps, are they all engineer stamped?
The one plan that they did that shows the reclamation that they were doing, the trees they were planting, it is stamped by someone from Foresight. The plan of the whole site is not stamped by anybody. Well, there's supposed to be a stamped survey supplied, so these aren't, no. Other than saying gravel removal 25, 26 on there, no, it doesn't have any relevance. And it doesn't mean much if it's not stamped. It doesn't have all the current elevations, I don't believe, and it doesn't have the correct location of what was removed that wasn't supposed to be removed. So yeah, there's a lot of information missing from the plan in that area of lot 116.
I got a couple of questions.
I'm sorry, can you say your...
Petro, 68 Davy Avenue.
Thank you.
The first question I got is, how long are these permits for?
They renew the permit annually.
Okay, how long are the permits for?
They're for a year. They
Okay.
renew it annually.
Who holds them accountable?
As far as...
Going by the permit.
Oh, going by the permit?
I mean, they don't even have blueprints that are valid. What's going on here? What do we got, 3 cups with a P in it? Trying to find out which cup has the P? What's going on?
Brian is the zoning enforcement officer.
All right, so how does he enforce everything? How does he make Patrica accountable? Does he shut them down when they don't follow the permit guidelines? Does he have that ability to do that?
He does.
And it's never happened in how many years now? The second thing, access road. So the access road to me is off Park Avenue. Is that what we're talking about? They want to change that road?
No, what they're talking about, if you wanted to look at this map, is they have a road that goes partway around the...
Well, they have a few roads that go
yeah,
all through there.
But they have a road that goes partway around the pond onto
Yeah.
lot 10516, where they've been mining and they should not have been mining. And they're going to extend that road the rest of the way around the lake that's what they're talking about, the new road going around the lake or the pond going over to lot 10, what is that lot? 10512 to mine in that area.
The third thing is, that's our watershed. Do you realize that? Where this is going on, that's our watershed. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
That's where we get a lot of our water from. We have a sand lot operation near our watershed. I would be concerned about that.
Yeah, I'm
They
not
don't use
sure that's
chemicals,
where
they
we get
probably
our
don't.
water, but.
They
we
don't
get our-
use chemicals, but what about fuel leaking from a truck, oil?
Yeah.
That's all I have, thank you.
There's a gentleman behind the person who asked to be recognized. Could you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Randy Thomas, 180 Raymond Drive. A couple things I heard. I just want to make sure that I heard right, everybody in this room heard right, and that the board heard right. First off, the map says new road. The section that's marked new road is actually the old road. Is that correct?
It's an old road going up to a different mining area.
Parcel. Okay. So the map they submitted is incorrectly labeled partially.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
This map that we're referencing is a map that was agreed upon between Berkshire Concrete and the town many years ago as the plan, the map that would be used. But we're sitting here, we hear what everybody's saying, and we're going to address it.
Updated information in the old areas. So
Okay.
in that old area where that road was put in, it was new at the time that road was added, but it's not new any longer.
Okay, so that, in my mind, that's a problem. That's an inaccurate document that they're submitting here for an important permit.
Correct.
Second question I have is, they're required to have a 150-foot buffer to the residents. Is that correct? I heard that right?
Yes, that's
Right.
in the bylaws. That's not part of the special permit, but it is in the bylaws,
Okay.
which
so
they
it-
have to follow.
Which they should know very well after everything we've been through for 10 months here,
Right.
right? Not taking guesses. And they submitted a map that has a 100-foot buffer, is that correct?
It has a line on it that's 100 foot off the residential lots.
Okay.
I don't know if that was supposed to be the buffer or something else. But
Okay.
it should be 150, and that's
All
been
right,
pointed
thank-
out a couple of times.
Thank you. Okay, so based on that, this is more than the issue that started, right? Clerical error, everybody makes mistakes, right? We're way past that, in my opinion here, okay? This is credibility. This is about being honest. All right, they want these permits. They should have their ducks in a row. They can't even submit correct documentation, knowing that we got a room full of people here that are concerned. I'm an abutter. A lot of people here are abutters, and they can't even submit correct documentation. So, in my opinion, they're either incompetent or they're dishonest, okay? And either one of those in this situation is not acceptable for you to be considering issuing these permits to this company. I have,
Again, like I said, I believe it was in 1994, I'll get you to the date. That plan that was submitted with this application was the plan that was agreed upon between Berkshire Concrete and the town of Dalton as to what would be used to identify the areas that were going to be mined and or reclaimed. So there was no effort to play three-card Monte. There's no incompetence. There's certainly, no intent. That was the map that has been agreed upon historically as to what would be submitted. And what I'm hearing from this board is we've got to take a look at that.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you have
just-
to agree that the information should be updated as it needs to be. not
I'm just saying that
old.
it's not a matter of not knowing what was, it's using the historical plans with the application. It's not competence, it's not obfuscation, it's following what it was historically agreed to, and it appears, I think it's obvious that we've got to take another look at that.
Okay.
I have one further thing, please. We're abutters 2 years ago, like a lot of people here, we never got the notice, right? Could you confirm for me, I heard this in an earlier meeting months ago, I was gonna say something, and I said this, I should have said something, doesn't sound right to me. Is the system in place that the company submits to you, the town, who the abutters are, and then letters go out from the town? Is that correct?
No, actually what happened was they only had 2 lots on the permit for the last 3 years, and they were actually working in areas they didn't have on the application for the permit. So the letters only went out to abutters of those lots and not to the lots they were actually going to be working with.
Okay, because maybe I'm mistaken, but from what I heard before in another meeting and heard tonight is that the town is taking the company who is, going for a permit, and you got a lot to lose, right? And the town should not be taking their word for who's in a butter, who should we send a letter to. If there isn't, there needs to be a check and balance. The town should be telling them who the abutters are. They shouldn't be taking it from the company.
Go ahead.
So what you're saying is correct, that is the process. So the process is when BCC or an applicant submits to me an application, it is on the applicant here, I want to stress that, to submit correct parcel numbers and lots. I then take those parcel numbers and lots and give them to the Board of Assessors, who then provide me with a certified mailed abutters list. That's part of the application cost as well. So what I receive from that department is the official abutters list, and that's to whom I send those letters out.
And do they confirm the abutters? Do you know?
I have receipts, and they do confirm the abutters, and then I confirm the sending. I send it certified mail, so if, I can see who didn't pick it up. I have receipts for all of them, and the assessors do confirm it. That's why it's a certified list. So they give me that, and they give me everyone who's on there. They show the map with the radius. If you look online on the website on both the Planning Board and the Board of Appeals page, there's actually a document that shows exactly. You can go online and do this yourself if you wanted to. You can see who's in a 300-foot radius of your property.
And would the town know if a company left a name out, left abutters out?
Oh, very easily. I mean, it's not on the company to determine who it's being sent to. It's they give me the lots, and then those lots go to the assessors, lot and parcel numbers. Those go to the assessors. They give me the list, and then I send out the mail. So if I do not get a correct list of parcels, then I do not know to send it to the abutters, and that's why the parcels that were left off the previous applications, for whatever reason, that's why there was no abutter notifications that happened.
Okay, thank you.
Today, with all these lots that are listed on
I believe you all did, right? Or is it a abutter? Did everyone here who's in a abutter get a notice?
Yes.
Thank you. So when it's done correctly, the system, I have yet to see it not work unless somebody fails to open their mail. Then in that case, that onus is on them. But I have receipts, and I get the signed, I don't know if they're called, the signed return receipts as well from the post office.
All right, thank you. The last thing I would like to say to the board is I'm hearing a lot of, okay, you guys are going to need to get your act together. Yeah, we'll look into that. We'll resubmit it. There's confusion with the maps. In my opinion, and I think a lot of people here would agree with me, we're way past that. We're way past, all right, get your act together now, and, it's a little confusing or whatever. We're past that, okay? There's no credibility or trust here with this company. I'm sorry. And I think they've shown that. So I would just ask the board to weigh what you're seeing with their second, third, fourth chances of submitting stuff, asking for this permit, that you should weigh that very heavily with their credibility. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm going to question the question and the answer given by Mr. Collins a few minutes ago. How many violations? We have a zoning enforcement officer that doesn't enforce. He told me personally he doesn't enforce special permit conditions, only town bylaws, for which we've seen tonight he doesn't. I'm going to equate it to something real in my life. As a school administrator in recent years, I was given the responsibility for the students and staff to follow the rules of our school. Yes, I have a question. So my question is this: if I sat in my office and I reported out to my superintendent that I had no incidents, certainly the staff would go to the superintendent and say, what are you talking about? So my question is, that, to make a question, I question, Robert, your question to Mr. Duvall because I think it's irrelevant because there has been no enforcement of the conditions in town bylaws. Thank you.
Richard? So some of the questions, some of the questions the board have, I also had on my comments. So my question is, once you've all had a chance to read my comments, are you then going to be able to ask Berkshire Concrete some of those questions?
Any questions you have? The chairman?
No, that's why I'm asking the chairman.
We're going to review everything we've got tonight. We're not going to close the public hearing tonight. We're going to continue it to December the 17th. We're going to get additional information for Berkshire Concrete, and we may send them a list of additional questions between now and then and try to get more information and more questions answered. And then on December 17th, we'll review that information we got and share it. And then once we close the public hearing and go to deliberations, we can't accept any more information from anybody, from Berkshire Concrete or them. We have to make the determination, and there can't be any more questions or answers. We have to make, as a board, the determination of what our conditions are going to be and what the permit's going to be.
So thank you, Zach.
Right, it's following the public hearing laws.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
It's just that one of the things was there seems to be confusion over the maps.
Right.
There's not even a solar field on there.
Yeah,
There's
they don't
even-
actually show the solar field on there. It would be nice if they showed all the pertinent information on here, but.
There's no burn shown on there that actually exists.
Right.
There's no plan
Right.
showing the new one that they want to put up. So, as I said, if you look at the document that was handed in, there is a lot of questions there. I hope you will be able to look at
Yep.
and form some questions for BCC. Thank you.
Joanne?
Joanne Warren, 59 Tower Road. I'm just wondering if you have concerns when you have to finish piling all this information, when the manager who did the excavation work without the permit was a new person and wasn't up to speed or qualified or whatever, that they are bringing all of this information and they file a permit with somebody who should be experienced, and you still are missing all of this information. Do you have any concerns as to what the future will be if you do give this permit when you don't even have the correct information to start with, when you should have it from somebody who has experience in this field?
Yeah, we're going to, our goal is to get the information corrected and finalized and put some procedures in place to prevent anything like this from happening again.
Jim?
Jim West, my wife and I live at 20 Ruth Drive, which is a connector between Bruce Drive and Renee to our north. There's two houses on that street. First question I have is this map the same map that was in the Berkshire Eagle when the story came out?
I believe it's been modified some since then, but yes, it's the same
Well,
map.
our house wasn't even on that map. And we abut right to the pits, right behind our house. As a matter of fact, they came, I believe someone from BCC came and surveyed, and they marked our whole backyard with 3 or 4 ribbons of where our property ended. And they did the Dick Rozak's house above us and the property that Larry Kinney used to own at the very end of Bruce Drive. Now, when we came in, the screen was down, and I was really hoping to see the map up on the screen so that when you started mentioning this lot number and that lot number, I don't have a map in front of me and really didn't understand
Okay.
where you were talking about. And so another question I have is, we could see in the Berkshire Eagle, that's the only map we've ever seen. So will there be one in the town hall that residents can go and look at?
Yes. Where will you have that, Yanko?
Clerk's office.
Okay.
And if it's not there, come see me. I'll get you a copy.
Who
In
just
the
said that?
Clerk's office?
Oh,
Yanko said
okay.
it.
So if it's
Okay.
not in the clerk's office, come upstairs
Okay.
and see the town planner, and I will get you a copy.
All right, another question I have, you've talked about the new road and someone asked, I believe the gentleman over here asked, is the new road that's proposed going to come out on Park Avenue
No.
where it does now? But
No.
nobody has,
No,
unless
there's no new
unless I
road.
missed it. I didn't
Yeah.
hear where the new road is gonna exit from the sand pits.
No, it's not a road that's exiting the sand pit. It's an internal road that they were using to go from one lot to another, one area they were mining to another. There's no new exit. It's all still going to exit out on Park
Mhm.
and come down Park to Main Street.
Oh.
That's not changing.
Okay,
Um,
all right, that's
and
helpful to know.
There's not a new road, not really a new road shown on here. It's an old road that's been there for a while, and it says new road, and that's where some of the confusion was.
Okay. On that map, is there a way that you can read that will tell where their digging is going to end in relation to the western end, the dead end portion of Bruce Drive, and how far it would be from there?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Jim, the lot you're talking about, what we refer to is 10125. That's the assessor's lot number. That's the lot directly behind you.
Okay.
About a third of that lot is zoned residential and cannot be mined. That's not part of it.
Is that the area that they proposed to build houses on a few years back?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's already been,
Yeah.
there's actually lots there outlined.
Okay.
And that's residential. That cannot be mined, that area there, that particular area. It basically runs from the corner of the last property, the last house, the west corner of the last house on Sunnyside Drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Down to basically Larry Kinney's old place there.
Yeah.
Kind of, not even, I shouldn't say that, it's actually behind that,
Yeah.
quite a ways, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pardon, Jim? Right, over to Raymond, right, yeah, yeah.
So you say that there's an area that they cannot dig on?
No.
Do you have a ballpark figure of how far that is?
It's probably about 200 to 300 feet.
Excuse me. Be recognized before you ask a question. Thank you.
The buffer, just to answer that question while it's up there, the buffer would be, right now, it's 150 feet from that. So it's whatever that dimension is from your line to that other imaginary line, because it's only imaginary.
Yeah.
Because that lot is split into two sections. One's R2, one's R1. The R2 portion, which is residential, that's not capable of being mined or permitted to be mined.
Okay, well, I recognize that you have recognized Larry Kinney's name. Larry Kinney lived just on the other side of Bruce Drive from where we currently live. As a matter of fact, my nickname for him was the Sandman, because he was the guy that met with the company all the time and got all kinds of work done. They planted grass back there, because when we moved in '85, and we had people over. We're sitting out on our patio, and we had a bowl of potato chips. We ate about half the bowl, and then all you could see around the rim of the bowl was sand. Well, Larry got involved, I don't know if he made them or however it worked, but through his diligence, they planted this kind of scrub grass. I don't know, there was a name for it, but I don't recall it right now. That was pretty good. But over the years, with all the motorcycles back there and everything, a lot of that's been torn up. And so, you know, the wind just piles right down Bruce Drive. And you talk about an area, this Bruce Drive, that's got a lot of young kids, and I'm talking really young kids, you know, like 5 and under, because the neighborhood has turned over from the old people like us to younger people and just having kids. And, you know, that area is very susceptible for you know, health issues. That's what we think about. So anyway, see you at the town hall, correct?
Mike Hill has a question.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up pretty quick, so you'll have an opportunity. If you don't get to ask your question now, you can ask it next month, and hopefully we'll have some better information and better maps.
All right, Mike Hill, 5 Bruce Drive. It's my understanding we have sensors out there to do some testing to see how the sand excavation impacts the neighborhoods, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure where they're at.
So lots like 10516, correct? You're worried about that lot? How is that going to be effective if they're not even mining it? How is that even effective?
They haven't reclaimed the whole site that they dug up.
All right, I get your point.
And so there's still a lot of uncovered material, and dust could be coming from the processing area, blowing all the way across the site and over to the neighborhood when it's blowing hard enough.
Thank you. You've called it?
Yes.
There'll be no more questions right now.
We can have 1 or 2 more, but that's it. We're going to have
Okay.
to close the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Ken Moriarty, 82 Raymond Drive. Question for the board, just because I think I might be missing something. First of all, appreciate all your questions on the maps and the permits and the questions on some of the accuracy of some of the things in the letters. So as a resident, I really appreciate your diligence in digging into this. But the reason I think I might be missing something is that when you gave people the opportunity to speak in favor of renewing the permit, nobody spoke. Nobody wrote any letters in favor of renewing the permit. So what I'm wondering is, in my mind, what would be a reason for renewing it? Well, the revenue came up a couple times, and I guess if that revenue weren't made up in some other way, our taxes might go up, but the residents of Dalton aren't stupid, we know that, and yet still nobody spoke up in favor of renewing the permit or wrote a letter. So my question is, what other arguments are you aware of in favor of renewing the permit, or what additional information might you get that would lead you to a decision to renew the permit? I think I must be missing it.
That's a good question.
That's all. Thank you very much for taking my question.
I don't know if there's going to be a correct answer. Probably won't be, but I'll give you what I think to be. I think they're property owners of the town like everybody else. And I think in the state of Massachusetts and our bylaws, they have the right to apply for a permit like anybody here. So not usually.
And you have you're going to consider it, and I appreciate the way you're doing that.
Not usually everybody is going to come up and support it. And in the past, there hasn't been anybody that was opposed to it before, until this one problem happened. And they were running on a continuation, so.
In the past, we have had people complain about the dust along High Street. It's not anything new. There's been a lot of issues with it along High Street, but since they started mining this new area, then that's what created most of the residents that are here to get involved, because now they were being affected. Yeah. Always have it.
To answer your question, and I'm not supporting or but we have to understand that the materials that they're producing are beneficial to our economy, not only our local economy, but in general. It's, you know, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but there's a lot of NIMBYs in the world, not in my backyard. And I understand all the issues, don't get me wrong. But we have to understand that we have to have these type of operations to have the world that we live in. You know, concrete, you know, Patrica, BCC is a, you know, producer of concrete products and concrete for building purposes. So, but that material has to come from some place, you know, and so while we don't always want them in our backyard, we just want them to be responsible citizens, basically, you know, to address the problems. Number one, not address the problems, prevent the problems. You know, if they can prevent the problems, and it's some of this burden relies. Everybody here tonight has been very critical of BCC. And this was not politically correct, but the town bears some responsibility here as well for the oversight and the enforcement. You know, any new permit will have, from my perspective, my wishes, much greater oversight and enforcement, so that situations like this don't even begin to develop. So, yeah, you know, I'm not speaking, again, I'm not speaking in support.
I'd like to say thank you everybody who attended. Thank you to our police officers for being here. Thank you to our town council. Thank you for our litigator, everybody, board, and for all the comments we've heard tonight, and especially to the applicant BC for coming here and sitting through this long meeting. I appreciate that. For next month, to ensure the meeting's going to run similar fashion, like this way, set up same way. With the comments that are coming in, I received a lot of comments within the last 2 days. I would kindly ask that in the future for next month, if you have comments that are different from what you've already said, please do not resubmit old comments. They're already in the public record, and there's copies that have been distributed to BCC and to the board. If you have something new, please get that to me in writing as sooner than later. When it comes in the last 2 days or today even, there is a chance that things get lost in the shuffle. Jimbo, I apologize, that was your letter. You're not communicated even via email. That was an example of a letter that got lost in the shuffle. And I don't want anyone to not be heard. So I just would kindly ask that people please get things in at a minimum of 48 hours before a meeting like this would happen, and preferably the week before would be good. So the next meeting will be in December 17th. And I would just like to see no repetition in the comments, and I'd like to see new questions, new information, whatever you guys have to say that's new. Please send it to me via email or come next month prepared to speak with that. That's my spiel. Here. Zach, that's it.
Thanks, Shaco. I wanted to ask Dennis or the Berkshire Environmental Consultants that the town hired gave us a little summary of typical components of a comprehensive dust mitigation plan. Include the following. Did BCC get this? Okay.
We shared it with our engineer to have them review it, give us their comments.
Okay, will they be able to provide us with a plan similar to your operation plan?
Yeah, we'll reach out to them tomorrow morning to see what they can get us and how quickly they can do that.
All right, thanks. So we're going to continue the public hearing to next month, which means you can make comments. They'll be submitting us more information between now and then.
Next month I will use a computer to project so we can have so we're not sitting with a map on the floor here. The reason I didn't do that today was due to the volume of comments, written comments. So, again, there's not trying to be critical here, there's just one of me, and I have to do all this, so if I can do the projection for next month, we can have a lot of this discussion where you guys have visuals with that, but that is going to require me to devote my attention to projection. So again, that's where I'm asking, please no repetition, new comments, and things like that. And yeah, that's all I can ask for. I know that I can't. I'm just asking you kindly for that, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting and continue the public hearing till December 17th.
Make a motion to adjourn and continue the meeting.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.